It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell are here. We'll talk about the uproar over a Microsoft executive's tweet announcing that Windows is going to be Agentic AI everywhere. Paul Thurrott debunks that one. We've got lots of information about the new Steam machine, the pros and cons, plus Paul's review of the ROG Ally. And then we'll talk about Windows 365 Copilot. Yes, it's an AI-rich show next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell, episode 959, recorded Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Thurrott Syndrome. It's time for Windows Weekly. Good morning, you winners. Good evening, you dozers. This is the show where we cover the latest from Microsoft with Paul Thurrott in beautiful Roma Norte, Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And Mr. Richard Campbell, who is today in Sydney. Is that what you have pronounced that? Sydney?
Yeah.
Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. It's my favorite thing to do when in Australia, just to randomly shout, Aussie.
Yeah, it's like when people go to France and they wear berets.
Yeah.
It doesn't, nobody thinks that's weird.
Nobody in France wears
completely
a beret.
normal.
But I did buy a French beret in France, so I'd be in with the people. Hello, everybody. This is actually, I shouldn't be fooling around because this is a big day for Microsoft. This is Ignite Day. Now, I asked you, you may remember last week, if we should cover the Ignite keynote.
Yeah, and it was so boring. I didn't even think to email you. I'm so sorry.
Good.
Although
Bullet dodged.
I will say, just right off the bat, I still don't know why Satya Nadella is not part of this.
It's really
the guy. What's the guy's name? Richard, the guy who kind of keynoted.
Nobody even knows his name. That's how big a deal.
Brad seemed to know exactly who it was. But he was great. Like he was
good.
A human being. He was eloquent.
That's
we
why,
both moved it along.
That's why they gave it to him.
I think so. Man, his name is right at the tip of my tongue.
Judson Adhoff.
Judson, thank you.
Well, Judson's the new commercial CEO because apparently this company needs multiple CEOs.
Right, that's their new thing. Well, they run out. At some point you have 1,000 corporate vice presidents, and then
they went with presidents,
presidents,
executive vice presidents,
executive vice. You're running out of. We're losing titles at the top. So everyone, CEO. We have lots of.
Is it because the modern corporation is so unmanageable that you have to have many people?
No, I think it's got more to do with responsibility and promotion, and the fact that there's really no particular rule around naming strategies, at least in North American companies.
Oh, so CEO, what does that mean?
Well, necessarily mean, right?
Right.
In the end, what is the board happy with?
Right.
Also, remember Satya Nadella explicitly ceded much of his job to Judson and others, actually. And I feel like in a different era, he might have become, chairman or, some other, he is chairman, but I mean, just
executive.
Give it up CEO.
Yeah. Which Tim Cook is apparently going to be soon. So, yeah. It's
so he can retire in Newfoundland as a grandmother.
It's crazy to think about. Satya's done his 10 years. Like,
I know.
Palmer wasn't much more. Like, it's been a decade.
That's a long time.
I literally just talked myself into that comment today. I was talking to Brad, actually, but I was like, it has been 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
Yeah. And Ballmer was only 13. So this is not, if you're
but Ballmer was, of course, right near the top for
many of
the previous years as well.
Well, you're exactly right. And they were already, even before the move in 2000, which I think the DOJ accelerated things, they were already moving towards Steve taking over. Like there was no search. There was one guy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That had always been the plan.
Yeah. This happened at Apple with Tim Cook when Jobs passed away. It happened at Microsoft, I guess, with Ballmer, which is... Are we going to pretend to look? And we're not. Okay. Gates is like, he'll be my successor, right? And everyone's like, yeah, right. There was no, sure.
Oh, wait, I'm the chairman. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I approve. Let's move this along.
Is that, you think, a good process, though? I mean,
no.
No.
Okay.
No. But but there's now precedent.
Well, it's also, tech companies are notorious for crony boards, right? They're just boards of friends and old employees and so forth. And they're big major shareholders. Like in terms of representing a public company, they're very suspect, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know I don't mean to be negative about Satya Nadella, but I really enjoyed him not being there. Like, that sounds terrible, but like
that's so terrible.
He was a little prone to
roboticness.
Robotic corporate.
I always, we weren't too far into the Nadella era where I sort of observed at one point that he's best when he comes out and just does a quick little intro, like, "Hey, I'm still alive," and then takes off, or comes in at the end and just wraps it up with a 5 to 7 minute, whatever.
Yep.
A 2 to 3 hour Ignite keynote is just brutal amount of time for my ears to deal with that. I'm so.
Yeah. But in those early days of Satya, I felt like he wasn't in control of his own keynote. Like there was just an awful lot of corporate morass and a very diverse company, and it made it extraordinarily difficult to rein that in. But he did, right? Like they did eventually rein that in. And there is sort of a formula now to a Satya keynote.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about that little transition only because I'm friends with the guy who was his speechwriter before he became CEO, and he was booted out unceremoniously.
Oh yeah,
your services are no longer required, sir.
There's a senior palace guard at Microsoft, and if you want to talk about a deep state in a corporation, like there it is. Yeah, it is a thing, and it's more powerful than the CEO in many respects. Like I have met Satya at a non-structured function, and the guy's articulate and smart and enjoyable. Right. So everything about what happens on stage is about a script that he's been hammered on.
Oh my God, yes.
And whether he likes it or not has nothing to do with anything. And I'll tell you this, the same thing happened to Gates. Like no CEO at that company has not been heavily managed in these settings.
Right. Well, Gates was raw for most of his life and probably needed it more than many. but yeah, I mean, once you become one of the world's most powerful companies or the world's most powerful company,
and you know how much you could move the stock.
Yeah, we're not going on script. Yeah, we can't. Yeah. You can't just blurt something out.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer could do that apparently, but not you. So don't do that. Anyway, so no Satya. That was the big thing for me. I made it enjoyable. I'm sorry, I keep going back to that, but I thought it was nicely done. Back in October, they did that consumer AI kind of Copilot event with Mustafa Suleyman, which I also thought was really good. Like it's just more energy and a bunch of younger people on stage, whatever. I thought it was nice. I just want to call it real quick. This is technically an AI story, but I wouldn't talk about it otherwise. Google could have announced Gemini 3 any day. They chose to announce it 1 hour before Microsoft went on stage to introduce Ignite and all their AI advances. Google was like, "Hey, look at us." Also, they did something they've never done to this degree, which is they provided interviews and demonstrations for like mainstream big press, like New York Times, et cetera. Where they got a lot of good quotes from Sundar Pichai in some cases, who is like, AI bubble? Yeah, of course it is. Well, I'm not nervous. What do you mean? Everything's going to be fine. It's kind of some interesting stuff there. But, and here's Microsoft. What do you have? Oh, just more of the same? Okay. Nice. It was like...
They're not over the Bard incident. And I respect that, honestly. You should have a memory of when you yanked your pants down. And admittedly, unfairly, right?
You saw Sam Altman's tweet, "Congrats to Google and Gemini 3. Looks like a great model." And then Sundar's little thank you.
Geez, give me a break. These guys would have each other's hands on their throats if they could.
It's pretty funny. Frenemies they are.
Yeah, that's nice. But you remember Satya in a rare moment of kind of fiery competitiveness when they came out first in 2023 with, at the time, Bing and Edge with AI capabilities that we now call Copilot. He said infamously, "I want to make Google dance." And I have to feel like if I was Sundar Pichai, I think on Tuesday morning, I would have been like, "Who's dancing now, bitch?" But I don't run a trillion dollar company, whatever. So
I noticed that, by the way, Elon announced Grok 4.1 and it got so little coverage. It's like, so I wonder, I mean, I don't think Google was like,
I feel like our Nazi loving right wing needs are met today with the AI we have.
We're good. Thanks.
Yeah, I think we're good on that.
Gemini 3, by the way, very good, very fast.
And very good for coding, apparently, which I'm kind of excited about. So
I have a question because Microsoft's been, like all the companies, advertising AI big time. You could talk to your PC.
Are people talking about this?
You could talk to your PC, but the voice that they use, it's like she's in a can. Is that intentional? Does Copilot sound like that?
No, they have actually, if anything, I kind of wish they had more voices, but they, in the same way in Windows, we have the narration capabilities. They have high res or HD models, or not models, I'm sorry, voices or whatever. Copilot doesn't do that. They don't give you a choice of like low or high res or whatever, but they're mostly, they sound clear. I don't really like any of the voices. This is always the problem. Like you're like Rich is in a hotel right now. He's probably not doing this tonight because he's been traveling for 17 months or something. But if this was his first night on the road and he's like, all right, I got to get up early tomorrow. I got a meeting or whatever it is. So you like go to your phone, you like ringtones, you step through every single one of them and all of them, you're like, oh, and the next thing you're like, oh, and then you get to the bottom, you're like, oh, come on, man. And then like, you got to pick one, I feel like AI voices are like that. They're just like, none of them are good, but it's like.
None of them are bad, bad enough. You got to vote just what annoys you the least.
Someday we'll have, the Darth Vader voice, which would be appropriate for Microsoft. Or
all Yoda all the time.
All Yoda, everything, all backwards speak.
That's right. Yeah.
Keeping track of the Ignite announcements is not possible at all, but even restricting it just to the sort of stuff that we may or may not care about here is a little difficult. But I guess, I don't know, it's kind of high level this because, I don't remember the exact timing, but I feel like a year ago at Ignite, Microsoft didn't start talking about agentic AI. That had come before, but it was kind of a big thing then. It still is today, right? And then just from a sort of perspective standpoint, back in May at Build, they talked about things like Windows 11 getting native support for MCP, which is the more advanced version of AI connecting to backend apps in the case of Windows or services or whatever. And this is the show where they're actually, now it's sort of available, meaning in public preview. Yeah, so we're seeing progress. But the thing, this was something I was, every once in a while I bore my wife with this topic, my topics, because who cares? She certainly doesn't. But it is interesting that for all of the speed of AI and the chaos and the never-ending release cycles and all this stuff, that if you actually kind of step back and look at, just keep to Microsoft, at high level, the first wave, if you will, of AI was really mostly about generative AI and getting AI into places where people might want it, right? Word, Excel, PowerPoint in the office space or whatever. Windows, we could debate that one, and we will actually. Whatever. And then it doesn't end. Like generative AI obviously continues. It's not like we go from wave to wave, but now we have the second wave, and the second wave is agentic AI. And I have to say, sitting here today, and this is at least a year in, but really, I mean, literally probably a year and a half, maybe even 2 years in, we're still at the point where we describe these things in exactly the same way. AI is going to work in the background to do things on your behalf. We use the same language every time. And I'm not saying no one on this planet has ever actually used AI that way yet, but I'm sort of saying that. And it is interesting that, what do we know? So we're 2.5 years from the original AI announced from Microsoft, right? Second wave, agentic AI. This one's going to take a while, right?
Well, and it's face it, we've been playing with this idea long before we stuck the AI label on it. It's asynchronous automation, right?
Yeah.
I want you to monitor flights going from Vancouver to Auckland for
that's actually,
let me know when the price hits.
That's the best example. And that one's interesting because I've been using a service for that exact thing for years. That's not AI based. It's just, I don't know, polling prices somewhere. I don't know how it's doing it exactly, but but that's almost a canonical example.
Sure.
Yeah. Like you say something like, look, I want to buy this Sonos speaker. I'm not spending more than $150 on it. Once it does hit that price, it'll be like a Black Friday thing or whatever it is. Just buy it. But the thing is, the difference between a price alert that you might do through like Google Flights or whatever it might be, and literal agentic AI is that we have to build an incredible foundation around every part of this for this to work. Because the end game here is not just doing like finding it, right, and telling me. It's literally taking my credit card number and somehow buying this thing and then telling me it bought it. And look, we could, I know there's still AI deniers. I'm not that person. But there's a lot of trust in the chain here that needs to be established and earned. And God help them, because it's going to happen. There'll be those horror stories. Some guy wakes up one day and there's like 1,000 boxes of Furbies in front of his house that AI just bought for him because they misunderstood his request or whatever it is. Like, these things will happen.
No, these are the jokes that we told about the old Amazon device that you shouldn't name because it makes people sad.
You mean Alexa?
Hey,
turn the heat up. Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I couldn't resist.
Funny.
Don't worry,
I would argue that on the developer side, this switch from suggesting code in line with you working on your code versus I'm assigning this work item to you, this issue to an agentic AI that's going to go develop it and submit it back as a pull request. Yeah, I would argue the most agentic thing I've really seen.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's mind-boggling what Claude Code can do.
Yeah,
the developer thing is the tip of the spear. This is where it's going to happen first. It's good. It's we're going to make the mistakes, but Richard will remember this certainly, because it always astonished me how often I could use GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio and never hits any limit. I've never been warned. I've never heard anything about it. Right. So part of I guess it was last week, the .NET 10 release. They released the new version of Visual Studio, which is wonderful, but there's an almost kind of AI circle jerk thing that happens now with me all the time in this product, which is that I'm using the Windows App SDK, which is not very well documented online, like things like WPF, which has been around forever. And there's lots and lots of information about their good advice, et cetera. And this thing can never fix my problems now. And because I'm using this environment that's terrible. And so this what happened. I've done it so many different ways, but the cycle goes like this. Listen, there are 3 places in this app where it could shut down. I need to interrupt that shutdown to make sure there's no document that needs to be saved first, whatever it is. I have this very specific request. And it's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, the problem is you need to defer the blah, blah, blah. And it's like the way you do it. And then it's like, this is the method. And it's like, the method is like the window closed. You're like, yep, that does not exist. And sure enough, there's a red squiggly under it. And you're like, okay. And I'm like, so Copilot, actually, as it turns out, that doesn't exist. That's not okay. I see the problem. The problem is you added the close method to this, and that's incorrect. We'll just the solution is take it out. I'm like, okay, so I still need this thing to work, and this is what it says to me. Sorry, you're out of your free AI credits for the month.
Nice.
You come back next month. We can do more. I'm like, no, you spent my AI credits. You were wrong repeatedly on the same thing, and now I don't get to do this anymore. So that's a new little wrinkle. That was a fun thing. I'm not paying for it. I mean, maybe I shouldn't complain, but
just loosen up the wallet, Mr. T. Come on.
Listen, if I thought throwing $100 at this thing would solve this problem, I would do it. But I have no.
I pay 20 to almost everybody. I have the basic plan for everybody, and Claude does plenty for me. I mean, I spend a whole day cleaning up.
It's been a while since I've experimented with other. I mean, you could do this in GitHub. You can actually choose the model. I mean, you could do that, but I couldn't do that because I used all my credits. Anyway, so
you got Codex now. This Google announced at the same time.
No, Cursor has gotten a bunch of updates.
And the anti-gravity is the new one from Google.
Which, by the way, did anyone else catch the? Does anti-gravity remind anyone of anything a little bit? Because that looks a little bit like AG. Well, first time I saw it, I'm like,
AGI.
I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Somebody theorized that they just want to take over the Google searches for antitrust.
Nice. That's just as likely as my.
Start typing ANTI.
Yeah.
Are you looking for anti-gravity?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I need a developer editor that's actually just Visual Studio Code, but that's fine.
I'm still for everything everybody else is doing. Claude Code still rings my chimes.
Yeah, I should go look at that again. Although I feel like I am using cloud in.
Well, it's CLI. It's command line, right? So you really, I don't know if Windows is the right place to use it. It's more for a, real computer.
Leo, I don't know if you know this, but Windows is multimodal when it comes to user interfaces.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I got my PowerShell right here.
I used it.
Linux. This comes up. This is going to go.
But because it's command line, but it's, to me, when people say, oh, AI is hyped or AI is not going anywhere or it's not useful or blah, blah, blah. Yeah, these chatbots are dopey. I agree. And who cares if it can make music or make images or make video? That's a nice demo. But boy, it can write code like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But you have to know what you're doing.
Whether or not that code is correct is entirely separate issue.
Yeah, in my experience, it's not been great. But
you have to know what you're doing. You have to use the plan. You can't just say.
Well, you also, listen, if you're using TypeScript or JavaScript, if you're using anything like a C# type thing.
It knows that pretty well, right?
That stuff is so well documented, and there's so much example code. There's so many examples on Stack Overflow or wherever else of people helping other people solve problems. Like, you're going to be all set for the rest of your life.
Well, and that's true, by the way, believe it or not, for Common Lisp and Emacs, which are obscure, but they've been around for 100 years.
They've been the same for a long time. It's good. That's good. The thing I'm using is terrible and it's never going to work, and I hate myself. Okay. So anyway.
So what are you trying to, is it your notepad?
Yeah. I've rewritten.
You can have a lot of .NET code.
Yeah. Look, this is a whole conversation here. I mean, it's there's all this stuff that was possible in WPF that's not possible in Windows App SDK. And by not possible, I don't mean it's more difficult. I mean, it's just not possible.
Right.
So in some cases, and there are like helper functions in WPF for things like parsing where the text cursor is in a text box, where they do not exist in WPF. Yeah. And so WPF has been open sourced. I can see the source code for those methods. I can go take a look at it and I can try to figure it out. But who has the time? Anyway, I hate this environment so much, and it's perfect for me. So,
Common Lisp and Emacs are waiting for you, Paul. They've been here for 50 years.
It's kind of a GUI app, but
if you're going to have fear or loathing about software, it should at least be old school software.
Well, yeah.
If you search X for Gemini 3 one-shot, you're just going to get example after example of kind of amazing stuff.
Yep.
Not that I recommend one-shotting stuff.
In the announcement, they had here's a 8-bit video game we just created from a single sentence prompt. You're like, it's pretty good.
I think we're in uncharted territories, making things up as we go along. Wait a minute, that sounds familiar. As most of AI does. It's not original.
It's perfect.
I've been talking to a bunch of different shops that are having failing AI apps, a bunch of them. And it reminds me of mobile development in 2009.
Yeah.
Where everybody was making a mobile app and they were all terrible.
Tools were not there yet.
The tools were terrible. The plans were terrible. The app ideas were terrible. Everything was terrible.
This is maybe this is something that maybe needs to get more attention, but you've seen the Simpsons episode where he builds a grill and he holds up you don't realize it at the time, but he's holding a picture of the box. He's like, oh, it's beautiful. And then he lowers the box and his is this tangled mess. He's like, why doesn't mine look like that? And that's what AI rollout in enterprise.
So many times I've done that.
Yeah, there you go. This, perfect.
Most humiliating experience of the year. My wife ordered a wine rack that came in pieces.
Yeah.
And I assembled it, and I was trying really hard to assemble before she came home. I wanted to surprise her. And she came home and it's got a listing like this.
Right. Like, I put it together.
I did it, honey. Just like Homer Simpson.
I would even put this on the shelf, She
said, we're calling Joe. Joe, my brother-in-law, comes over with his impact screwdriver and his level.
Make short work of it.
It's rock solid square.
Poses for a calendar and then takes off.
Pretty much.
Nice.
The brother-in-law built it. He's the one, by the way, I give the Irish whiskey to. He earned another bottle of Redbreast.
So
I got
anyway,
I got an Irish tree today. You're not going to give him because I don't really like him that much.
Thank you. I don't.
Anyway, whether you're a person or a company, I think you see all these success stories. You're like, okay, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then you have the Homer Simpson experience where you're like, I don't.
It doesn't work that way for me.
Turns out that it takes certain levels of skill. And
yep.
And we are, Now we're doing that very famous thing we do where we're rebuilding the platform while rebuilding the tools, while rebuilding the development methodology, while redefining the application.
Well, and it's not it's so different from any way you've done it before. I mean, it's like having, I think people have often said it's like having an intern or a junior dev working for you. So you got to really be clear what you want. And you can't do it without knowing how to code, I think you have to be able to look at the code and see what it's.
Have to monitor.
Well, you absolutely do, because even if you don't explain it clearly, like if the thing it puts out is not right in some way, like this code I was describing, you need to understand why it's not right and how maybe how you can get to fixing it. So yes, I mean, I agree with that.
There are lots, though, of blogs online if people go out and read them. We had Harper Reed on a few times. He's very good with Claude. Here's a post from Czech Eagle, Nick Ratcliffe, who talks about, and this is exactly the problem. He says, Claude really wants to write code. More than anything, it wants to write code. You have to stop it and say, no, do not write code yet.
Oh, I could break Claude of this little habit. I'll just show it some Windows App SDK, and it will never want to write code again.
Yeah, you have to say, no. Before you write any code, we have to plan it.
So this is like the girls just want to have fun, but
Claude just wants to write code. And I thought that was a kind of a good insight too. I think if you're really interested in this, there's a lot of developers are great. They're sharing their experiences.
Developers are the worst, Leo. I don't know.
Okay, they're horrible.
No,
people,
I'm just kidding. I don't know where that came from.
But I think there's definitely a community of sharing of how you do this better. And
but it's because every one of them needs help with something,
right?
And so you're all interacting and get
that's
course.
Really true.
We do come from a culture of hobbyists that shared and
do-it-yourselfers, etc. Yeah, exactly.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
I don't know what to do with this Ignite stuff. It's like, just a bunch of announcements, right? So Microsoft partnering with Anthropic. So the circle is now complete. Every AI company is now connected to every AI company, I guess.
So we all go down together.
Is that because they're all in the same lifeboat?
You want my cynical rationale for this? Because I really feel that this agreement we're seeing in this small slice of the industry where everything has to be standardized and we're all doing the same thing is literally tied to jamming this down our throats while we're not going to be regulated and making it happen as quickly as possible.
And historically, isn't this the case that in the early days of like the internet, people agreed on standards because it was early and we all had to help each other. But as soon as that early stage went by, then it was like dog eat dog. Like Amazon's going to beat everybody else. There's CSS is going to. But in the early days of any of this technology, people understand. AI is so big and it's so accelerated that we're seeing it happen in real time in a way that has never happened before. That's
it's just so big.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the past think about like smart home technology, right? We have like Matter now finally, which is starting to get there, Zigbee, all these different standards, right? And then we have the major platforms, from Apple, Google, Amazon, and even Samsung or whatever. And you go buy like a smart light from like IKEA and it's like, does this work with the Apple thing? No, but it works with Google, but it might work with Amazon if you have this hub or like whatever. And so we're finally sort of getting there. Although, by the way, you can't buy an Amazon speaker and use it in a Google Home or buy an Apple speaker and, whatever. Like there's still that stuff. They're still terrible. But as far as like there being standards, that took a long time. And then it took longer still to get them right? I think Matter today is finally getting there.
We fixed this with Home Assistant.
But this is happening in the reverse order and much faster with AI.
Weird.
It's bizarre. I don't think this has ever happened. Not like this. It's just different.
The pace is quite shocking.
A lot of people use Ollama as their open source coding tool. And all of a sudden people are complaining about Ollama being shitified because they're now moving to the cloud and they have a paid cloud model that's fairly expensive.
Sellouts.
And people are saying, wait, what?
Who's whipping the llama's ass
this
now?
This is not open. This is, and of course they're based on Llama CPP. So a lot of people are just saying, you don't need Ollama anymore. But this is what happens. People need to make money because this is an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Can I take a break and we'll go on? There's lots more from Ignite and I know lots more AI stuff, but we're half an hour in now and I don't want to let this get away from us. We got to get to the hour.
Oh, it's getting away from us. I mean, let's be honest.
There's a lot of Ignite news. A lot. All right. Well, let me just a little short break. This episode of Windows Weekly brought to you by Vention. And it's kind of timely because it's our good friends. I talked to Glenn from Vention maybe a couple of months ago now, and was so impressed with what Vention is doing, because if you're trying to incorporate AI into your team, you probably experienced it. It often makes the job harder, more difficult, like we were just talking about. But Vention is here to help. They have 20 years. First of all, they're engineers first. They're developers. 20 years of global engineering expertise. So they come to this, they're not, oh, hey, we got to get in the hot new thing. They are here for you. But they realize now this was a pain point for businesses. So they're building AI-enabled engineering teams with the focus, though, on making software development faster, cleaner, and calmer. Because they understand that's really what you need. Clients typically see at least a 15% boost in efficiency. And we're not talking through hype, but real engineering discipline, the stuff, that got us here in the first place. The other thing that Vention does, which I really, I think for a lot of people want to recommend, is their AI workshops. They're not just a lecture. They are an interactive workshop that helps your team find practical, safe ways to use AI across delivery, across Q&A. It's a great way to start with Vention and meet them and test their expertise and get your team kind of all on the same page, thinking about how to use AI properly. With Vention, whether you're a CTO, a tech lead, a product owner, you're not going to have to spend weeks figuring out tools, architectures, or models. They know, they've done all the work. They help you assess your AI readiness. Vention will help you clarify your goals. And like we were saying before, planning is really the most important part of this whole thing. They'll help you with this. And then they'll outline the steps to get you there without the headaches, because they have the experience. They've been there. They know. And so that's the workshop. If you do need help on the engineering front, meet them, do the workshop first, because then once you get these guys really know what they're talking about. And if you then need help on the engineering front, they've got teams ready to jump in. They could either be your development partner, they can be a consulting partner. You get to choose how you interact. This is the best step to take after your proof of concept. How many of you've probably been in this situation? You've built this incredible prototype, this MVP kind of. Maybe you've been using Lovable. You've been vibe coding it. Thing runs in tests. But now what's next? Do you ship it? Do you open a dozen AI specific roles just to keep moving? I got a suggestion. Bring in a partner who has already done this across industries, someone who can expand your idea into a full-scale product without disrupting your systems or getting in the way of your team. Because Vention's all about partnering. Vention is real people with real expertise and real results. They're here for you. Learn more at ventionteams.com. See how your team can build smarter, faster, with a lot more peace of mind. Or get started today with the AI workshop at ventionteams.com/twit. VENTION teams.com/twit. I wanted to get the Vention mention in because this is that pain point. Everybody's saying, well, this looks good, but how do we make it real? All right. Still more AI news from Ignite. Was it all AI all the time?
Yes. So, well, not 100%, but 99 point something.
I mean, it has been for the past 2 years, right?
Yeah.
But also people are starting, I've been seeing a number of memes of people saying Microsoft's turning Windows into,
yeah, we're going to get to that. That's okay. We're definitely hitting on
Save that. Okay. What else?
So if you think back to 2.5 years ago, Microsoft did their kind of push. At some point, they transitioned to the Copilot name, which we all agreed was perfect. I believe the first paid product they announced was what we now call Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is this add-on subscription for businesses. If you have some level of the normal Microsoft 365 subscription, you can add this to it. But it's expensive.
$20 a head. Yeah, $30
a pop. Over on the maybe 20-ish or more, maybe you're spending on the other one.
It started at 20, became 30, but
yeah. So things have shifted a little bit since then, and I'm going to take this for the good sign that I believe it is. But and this is part of the announcements from the show, but you can get now Copilot chat inside of the Microsoft 365 apps for free. It's kind of a light version of Copilot that is only grounded in web data. It doesn't work with your own stuff. The management is not particularly there in any way, but you can do that. You can add. They announced also agents for the major Microsoft 365 apps, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc. But they now have a new offering that's called Microsoft 365 Copilot Business. So there's Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, Copilot, which is the $30 per month one. And now for $21 per month, if you have a business that has fewer than 300 users, they're actually lowering the cost. And this will work actually exactly the same way as the big Copilot, the expensive one. It's just, limited to small businesses. So, you still have to have a Microsoft 365 subscription, but it works with Business Basic, which I think is it's probably the cheapest one you can get that has the apps. I think or maybe I'm thinking of Business Standard, but it does go down to Business Basic. You don't have to have really, expensive 365 subscription as well. So that's kind of a nice step forward. Agents, I mentioned, we have so many agents now that we need a service to manage those agents, and you will not be surprisred to discover that service is called Agent 365. Of course it is.
As in, I have 365 agents, but I don't know what any of them are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like 365 agents, and not a single task has come back completed. What's going on here? And then on the Windows 11 front, a couple of things, Mike, I think I mentioned this in passing, but in May at Build, they mentioned that MCP would be available or is coming to Windows as kind of a native feature. This is what's needed for AI agents to, I think of it as programmatically, interact with apps, but it's the interface where the agent can interact with apps or services, right, in Windows, is now available in public preview. By the way, 2 years ago at Build, or a year and a half ago at Build 2024, Microsoft announced something called the Windows Copilot Runtime. At this past Build, I believe it was called the Windows AI Foundry, I think. Yeah. And now it's Foundry. The Microsoft Foundry, because we're going to keep changing it. So I believe. I think I got that one right.
Once upon a time it was Windows Azure, and then it became Microsoft Azure.
Yes, probably. And that shows you how fast AI moves, because they've changed the name of this thing like 3 times in 18 months. But that's fine. The more, I don't know, controversial, but this kind of heads into the conversation we're going to have in a little while about Windows 11. But Microsoft, and I would say Pavan Davuluri specifically, have been talking about transitioning Windows into an agentic OS, right? And so unfortunately, in the language people are using, sometimes it's a little too marketing. It's like, like Yusuf Mehdi will say things like, we've completely rewritten Windows from the ground up. No, you haven't. No,
why would you say that? And I'm sure the engineers didn't say that. I expect
no, but so some audience that sounds good, and to people who know how things work, it sounds like you're lying. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, you didn't. But
you didn't.
You didn't. So anyway, we're going to have AI agents in Windows, of course. I mean, of course we are, right? And I guess they did I missed it. The time was actually my time. I thought it was on the actual time of the place, where they are in San Francisco, and it wasn't. So I missed it. I'll watch it on recap. But there is a session at Build that was at 11 a.m. my time this morning, so it passed. But where they actually showed this off, apparently. So I'm kind of eager to look at this. But if you are following Windows 11 and how it's evolving, that little search box thing down there is going to turn into, well, depending on who you are, you might already have this. It's turning into the kind of new Copilot interaction point. So depending on what you type in there, it's either going to launch Copilot or launch the search, if you're looking for a file or doing a web search, whatever it might be. But they're talking about like AI agents, like kind of living in the taskbar, which is freaking people out,
I just think there's enough rage about anything called AI at this particular moment.
Yep.
That the folks living in the bubble,
right,
and Pavan is one of them, just stepped in it. It's like, hey, we're all tired of this.
So I'm going to say, you're right. I'm going to suggest that there are two bubbles. And the other bubble is the people like you and I, who are middle-aged or above, been around for a while, seen it all. We see this for the nonsense. And you get the people in this audience who are like, nobody wants to talk to a computer. Nobody. Or nobody asks for this crap. Nobody. Or, blah, 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 whatever. And then look, there's an easy sort of digression or sidestep you can make around this by saying something like, I wouldn't mind if you did this, if you just made Windows reliable and secure and everything worked and there weren't ads everywhere and like all that stuff. And you're like, that's cute. But that's not happening. But those two things should both happen, right? Or could both happen, I had someone reach out to me. Well, many people did have about this topic, but one guy said something like, "Oh, I'm sure this is what all Windows users are clamoring for," or something. And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I appreciate the fact that this thing is 40 years old. They're trying to modernize it. If it doesn't make this transition, it's probably not coming along for the ride. Like that's how they see it." And we can sort of argue and debate the marketing of AI and the efficacy of what they have and blah blah blah, whatever. I mean. I'm interested in seeing what this looks like really, but this thing is either going to advance, progress, evolve, however you want to say it, or it isn't, and they've decided it is. And so I don't know. I just the problem I have is like people get very specific, like keep your hands off my notepad kind of a thing. It's like somehow Notepad was perfect in 1996 and we should never touch it. And I'll tell you, I use Notepad every day. I use Paint every day.
Mary Jo Foley by any chance?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, but
there's a lot of people
like her, people her age, people our age, people. That's what I mean. Like this audience, it's like, it's weird to me that we as professionals, somehow when we were at our peak forum, that's when all software was perfect. And now we don't touch it anymore. And it's like, I don't know. Like when you were 27 years old, you'd be excited by this. But all I can say to those two apps in particular, Paint and Notepad, is those are actually demonstrably better than they've ever been. Those apps are fantastic. So it can work. It doesn't mean I go in and co-create with Paint every day. I don't ever actually, but it doesn't bother me that it's there. I mean, geez, like have a little empathy.
We're going to get your Paint MVP with that attitude, Paul.
Yes, I'm shooting for it, but no. So before Ignite, there were a couple things that kind of just got onto my nerves a little bit, sort of in this space. One is Dave Plummer, who I like, former Microsoft engineer. Everyone knows that because he talks about it all the time.
Watch his stuff.
I don't agree with him. I watch every video he makes. Stuff. Yeah. Yep. And he made a video about how Windows sucks. And
so clickbait.
Yep. And it was 20 minutes of nothing. It was nothing. And my problem with it was not him. I like him. He's smart, whatever. I like his, I'm interested in him, but he's not helping anyone. He doesn't have any advice for anybody. He doesn't have any ideas about how you could do things. If I were running Microsoft, I would put a power user switch in so everyone could turn off all the crap. It's like, yeah, that's cute. Yeah, that's not happening. So that's stupid. But how about actually,
buddy?
No, I mean, it's just like, but at worst, that's just noise, right?
Yeah.
It's not helpful. It's whatever. You might be interested in the topic, so you listen to it.
And you're not wrong. At best, it's just noise. The reality is that it stops people from actually making things better, which you can do.
It's like, I just wish Microsoft would listen to Dave. And it's like, guys, stop.
Yeah, come on.
I've been talking about this for years, for crying out loud, like decades. I have created like a Windows 11 and certification checklist, and these are the things. And every time I evaluate any software that fixes some of these problems, I see how well it does against the checklist. And we'll talk about that again actually at the end of the show. But I am trying to solve the problem, like for people, like actually solve it, right? Like the world is the way it is. Like how can we fix it? I have some ideas there, but whatever. So there's that. Not a big deal. Like I wouldn't have probably written about that, but Pavan Davuluri, rather, about a week ago, 10 days ago, just innocuous little promotional thing. I'm going to be at Ignite.
Really his first message since he has reunified Windows and going to take into space over. It's like, all right, Pavan,
but you understand.
Pulling for you. Go ahead. Come step out in the minefield, boys. Let's go.
I don't think he wrote it. I think he has handlers. I think some marketing person wrote it. So big. All it was I'm going to be at Ignite and I'm going to appear in this session. But it repeated the 1.5 sentences of, we're turning into Windows into an agentic OS. Come along for the, come see what we're doing. And
scare people, I have to say.
This guy was, well, who saw him tweet anything? Who is this guy? Nobody knows who he is. He runs Windows. I know who he is. But
he's the boss, right?
Yeah, but he's
the new
not,
boss.
Like, first of all, I don't know him personally or anything like that, but what I've seen him seems like a well-spoken, nice guy, smart. Obviously he works for this big company and they have whatever strategic aims they have and all this kind of stuff. But I like that he's an engineer, and we'll see. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But the sheer weight of crap that fell on this guy, personal attacks, threats, a lot of people's apparently speaking for the planet, like guys who don't know anything about anything, or like, nobody wants this. Nobody asked for this. And it's like, that's what they said to Steve Jobs. He made an iPhone. Look, I'm not saying that what they're doing right now here exactly, or what they're going to do in long term. Is any guy? I have no idea. But the reaction to this is the same reaction that I see on a smaller scale, because I don't run Windows, but in my own, like anytime there's anything like, the little announcement about, we're going to be talking to our computers in addition to touch and type and pen and all the other ways we can interact with computers. Nobody wants to talk to computers. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to talk to a computer, but I actually talk to things all the time. And honestly, I feel like I can babble out instructions to something a lot better than I can type exact prompts and things. Like, I actually think the talking to your computer thing is going to be a thing. I'm sorry, but I know that
it won't be the only thing, but it is a thing.
It will be a thing. So look, we'll see. But the sheer amount of hate and terribleness that this guy received from us, I mean, literally me and people like me, it made me so sad. There is no call for that. And until he proves otherwise, and we find out he is a terrible person and he is evil and he's been doing things from the inside to undermine Windows or something, which, by the way, has happened. Then we can have a discussion about that stuff. But attacking this guy and really technical people who apparently speak for the masses when your needs and wants are 1% of 1% of what people do with Windows. Like, you do not speak for us. Like, it freaked me out how awful this was. So the only thing I just to conclude this, I don't want to go on too long because I could literally go hours on this topic. A lot of threats. This is why I'm leaving Windows. This is why I already left Windows. This is why whatever. Leave. Then leave. We're better off without you. You are just noise. You are just noise. If you have something constructive you'd like to say about this, if you've actually, you don't even know what it is yet, so you can't even say anything quite yet. But it's just, it makes me really sad that we've gotten this change-averse, this myopic, this insular, this everything was great. Pick your time frame, and because it wasn't. It was never great. There were always problems.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Will this be Windows 8 again? I don't know. You don't know either.
Yeah.
We'll see. But the way people attacked him.
But let's be clear. You know how you get a Windows 8? By not talking to anybody about what you're doing, by not showing anyone what you're doing. The fact that this guy came out with, this is what we're planning on doing, and effectively elicited feedback, but he is a better move.
Let me just put that in context, because the initial tweet that he made was nothing. It was just an innocuous. There was not a single new word of anything in it. It was 1.5 sentences. I'm going to be at Ignite. Here's my session. He did reply to one guy in that thread. That was a huge mistake, rookie error. And it was thoughtful. It was pretty long. He offered to have this interaction with him. It's like, if you want to be constructive and how we're listening, we actually do care about this kind of feedback. And he just 1.5 million views later, just more crap. There wasn't no one replied to that with, "Oh, well, that's very professional of you. Thank you for jumping in." There were people who do what I do that wrote headlines and stories about how terrible he is and how terrible that response was. And that response, I challenge you to go read it, is actually polite, thoughtful, and respectful. Again, I don't know him. I'm not his friend or anything like that, but I don't understand the sheer vitriol over this stuff. is yes, to Richard's point, I think the first thing I think you said on this topic, Richard, was this AI fatigue occurring here. Like there's been a lot of hype, and in our space, I would say, whether it's IT or just personal computing, and we're using our Windows machine, whatever. Yeah, there's all this in certification. I can't say that I'm using it day to day for anything really anywhere. When is the hype going to match, or when is the reality going to match the hype? I don't know. That's fair, but true. But we're going to go after this guy like this? I mean, really? And it's like, listen, I hope you pay attention to all these responses in here, because it's all negative. It's like, of course, it's Twitter. Twitter is a Nazi hellscape. Of course, it's all negative. Everyone there is terrible. No one is ever going to show up there and defend this guy. It's not a conversation. It's bullying. And this is
social media. That's the thing,
awful.
Right? Isn't that the real issue?
It's awful.
Also,
it's the worst.
I've given up on social media. It's always the worst. And the link bait on YouTube that you just talked about earlier. This is kind of all side effects of this.
The thing is, I don't mind a guy like Dave Plummer making videos and doing his shtick, and I don't. I like it. I like a lot of his videos, his interviews. Raymond Chen and Dave Cutler are among some of the most interesting conversations I've ever heard, and have re-listened to both of those, by the way. That's a minor issue. This was like a triggering thing for me, because I see this everywhere in my space. When anything is announced, we need a term for this, right? Like, imagine I'll just make something up. Microsoft improved Outlook with the new Outlook, which everyone hates. The new Outlook now supports whatever it is. Well, what are they going to do? It's always like the next thing to complain
reaction
about.
is being amplified by social media. I think you're giving it outsized weight. It's just a bunch of people on Twitter. Who the hell cares?
The problem is it's my people on Twitter. No, I mean that. These are guys who are right in that little Venn diagram of Windows enthusiast, developer, IT. And they apparently follow this guy on social media for some reason to crap on him. Was that your point? Because if that's what you're doing with your life,
the point of social media,
it shouldn't be.
I agree, but this is what we've wrought. And I think
I don't like it. This is the crap of the world
this.
Getting into MySpace. Not MySpace, the service that Meta killed, my community. I don't like to see people like me behaving this badly. It's terrible. It's awful. I hate it. It really freaks me out.
This is what these social networks encourage, is quick knee-jerk hot takes.
Look, I don't want to be like Apple. I don't want to be a sycophant. I don't want everything they do to be amazing. Every time they nailed it, and then it's only after the fact where they change something, and now they're like, oh yeah, this was crappy for 5 years, but now, they got it right again, and you're like, okay. So I guess they're magic or something. They're like a unicorn, sparkles everywhere. It's nice. But I also we don't have to just knee jerk hate everything that Microsoft does, right? Can we just evaluate this objectively? Could there be some thought? Could there be some experience to your opinion or something in this space? Anything?
But don't you think the vast majority of users are more level-headed?
Yeah, I do. That was kind of my point. These people represent less than 1% of the world. Exactly.
So don't overweight them. They're just, they're just Twitter
look, this
jerks.
is not the type of thing I would normally focus on, but the thing is, I see this is the feedback he got is the feedback I get. I didn't write the product, right? When I defend Microsoft requiring a Microsoft account for individuals in sign into Windows 11, when I defend recall, because I look, not because I want it, because I never use it myself, but I evaluate the thing. And I'm like, this thing is secure. It's well done. It's well designed. There are people who might benefit from it. There are people who hate that stuff so much. They don't want to use it. They don't even acknowledge you can just turn it off. They don't want anyone to have it. They just want to ruin it for everybody. And I'm sorry, but that's not good feedback. That's not, your head is in the wrong place. It's just terrible. Look, agents in the taskbar, I don't want anything in this. I don't even want to see the taskbar. But I'm not going to write a vitriolic personal attack on the guy that runs Windows because we're putting some stupid feature in Windows.
it's premature. We don't know what's going to happen yet. Oh, sure. And you know what? There's plenty of time to abandon Windows and join the.
Yes,
there's no hurry. Just take.
Leo, I would just counter that with there's plenty of time to fix Windows too, and that's what I'm here. That's what I do.
Yeah.
No, keep using it till it doesn't serve you. Like anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
by the way,
Boston Town, maybe he will start working on some of these issues that people have.
Well, in that respect, it is good for people to have a feedback mechanism. As long as you don't overweight
into the product. It's like what I don't know.
Right. But I think you can overweight the stuff that really incentivizes hot takes. And I include YouTube.
I hope that toxic spew that came out of that tweet doesn't put him off from putting anything else in.
Right. Right.
It makes me never want to even look at Twitter again,
Yeah, well, that's been true for Twitter for quite a while now.
Fair enough. I mean, sure.
Was the same reaction on
maybe that's the real issue?
Was it just on X?
Don't post that on Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't. It blew up because of what happened on Twitter. I have no idea, honestly. People
close to me often say, "Oh my God, I posted something on Twitter and I can't believe all the hate I got." And I say, "What are you posting on Twitter for? What's wrong with you?"
Well, it is the outlet for hate. I mean, it's
what you're going to get no matter what you say.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, look, there's a grass is always greener effect going on here. It's like this already said, like Linux is right here. It's like, yeah, great. Now my mother will have no problem running Linux. Or even me, I know my way around a computer a little bit. I had to do something. I brought a MacBook Air. I've never even touched it. Basically, I just opened it the other day to just install like the latest beta update of whatever. And I'm tooling around with it for a few minutes. It didn't take me 30 seconds to be like, yeah, no, I hate the Mac so much. I hate it. Like, I just hate it. And I just can't, I know it's there, whatever, but no, I'd rather fix the thing I like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whatever.
I do worry that Microsoft might be going down a road that,
I don't disagree, but you know what was worse? Not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. Right. You got to remember, this is a company that missed various waves, right? Or lost, true. In mobile, whatever. So
that's true.
The fact that I will say this. Maybe this is the more positive, whatever way to frame this is. I had a sort of a crisis of faith when Microsoft was all in on just cloud computing. That was the whole point. That was the Satya Nadella thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, the company exploded in value. It's humongous. But making Windows make sense in that world, that was too much. It was just it's how we got Windows as a service. It's how we got.
I think I also feel like it needed to be shunted aside because it had been the focus of the company for so long that even getting a little love was problematic. You really needed to convince the folks that were there. It's like, listen, you're not the center of the company anymore.
Oh, everyone knew that in the company. Yeah. That was part of the problem. The best guys were all on, Azure by that point or whatever.
Yeah, although there's a ton of old school Windows folks that have stayed right there, right? Like that's also true.
Yeah, there are some.
I feel like Pavan's reunification of the teams and so forth is literally they're pulling Windows out of Siberia. If there's any chance to actually get it fixed, this would be the first logical set of moves.
But this guy who is in charge of Windows and Surface is in charge of Siberia. So I don't know how much.
I think he was brought in to drag it out of Siberia. Right?
Okay. You could be right. But I guess my only point here is just that cloud computing was a tough match for Windows.
Yeah.
AI is not. When you talk about things like orchestration and agents and background processes.
Well, to be clear, tooling. Right.
Yep. This is going to occur in the OS. And I'm sorry, but this actually, whether what they do makes sense, meaning the literal implementation, that we will debate.
Making good tools is different.
That's, but
at least making
this
tools.
Is a place where this needs to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So
are we going to wait for Apple to make an agentic OS?
I'm not going to be in this industry that long. So no, I don't have it. It's just not. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
If Apple's smart, they're going to watch what Microsoft does and not make the same mistakes that are about to happen. I
haven't seen South Park in a while, but South Park used to do a good crowd rabble thing where people just walk around, and that's what this is like. It's like just a bunch of people who maybe have one eye in retirement and still carrying around like a floppy disk with their favorite low-level disk tool on it or something. And they're like, I don't want anything to change. And it's like, yeah, we know, but things are changing, and the audience out there is much bigger than people like you. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And these guys, we were young once. Yeah, we were excited by technology. That's why we're here. When did you lose it? You hate all the new Star Wars movies too, you jerk, because you grew up. They were fun when you were a kid, but now they're terrible. I mean, Jesus?
The last few were not great.
They were awful, honestly. Actually. But yeah, objectively terrible, as the last two especially. But yeah, fair enough. But
really, I could just type into hyperspace and fix the whole story.
The Chris Star Trek movies were great, so shut up. Anyway,
okay,
whatever. Forget that was a stupid example. Yeah, Disney can go screw itself. Anyway, yes. So we beat up on Pavan Davuluri unfairly. So there's that.
Yeah.
What else do we have? So there have been 2 sets of Windows Insider Program releases, and by sets I mean like literally multiple builds. Actually, yesterday was like a surprisingly huge day. You might have thought that with Ignite unrolling here, they're going to take a little break, but no. If you have any PC and any Insider channel
on at all,
you can check for app updates for Copilot. You'll get an early like Copilot Labs version of something called Copilot Actions, right? Mm-hmm. And this is something I believe is in Copilot on the web already, and the version that's in Windows, of course, is there to interact with the apps on your system. So if you think about how maybe the agent in settings works, where you ask it questions and it like gives you a UI to fix it, it will do that for apps. And this is a borderline agentic capability. I mean, you're not sending it off to do something, but it's going to start interacting with more and more apps. This is that programmable apps thing. I don't know what else to call it, feature. So that's something we can start looking at soon. There was a Canary build that had nothing in it, so we can just skip right over that.
Excellent.
So back to normal for Canary.
Hey!
26H1, but with nothing. So that's nice. And then they released 2 release preview builds, one 24H2, one 25H2, same exact features, which is a preview of what we're going to get on Patch Tuesday in December. I had suggested maybe we're going to get a light month next month, and that is not the case. So.
Interesting.
Look at that.
December is normally pretty light.
Yeah, it might be because this stuff was coming in advance. Was coming already, and a lot of it actually is tied to some of the stuff they're talking about at Ignite. Yeah. So next Tuesday, as we record this, is Week D Tuesday. So we'll probably get a preview update at that point as well. So there's a bunch of stuff in here that actually I think people will like, right? So for example, Windows Studio Effects requires a Copilot Plus PC, or a PC with an MPU, which is a Copilot Plus PC today. And it only works on the single main camera usually, but now it's going to work on external cameras. So if you have secondary cameras, USB webcams, et cetera, it should work there. I guess it never has. And then we talked about external fingerprint readers supporting Windows Hello enhanced sign-in security, right? Which is never possible. This is the first time ever they've allowed a device to enter the chain after the fact. To this day, if you do that, you can do it. I mean, if you have a Windows Hello ESS-based PC, you can add an external webcam, like with an IR sensor or a fingerprint reader, but now you get dropped down to Windows Hello. You're not doing ESS anymore. And this will apparently not break that chain somehow. I'm not sure how they're doing that, but that's neat. Agents and settings improvements. This is just more of the same there. But again, it's a cool feature. If you have a Copilot Plus PC, you can search for something. You can do plain, natural language. It will give you an interface in many cases right there in the dropdown where you can do the thing you're trying to do. So instead of click here to go to some page, and then at some point in Windows 11, it was like click here, go to some page, and then the thing that would be the option you wanted would be like highlighted with that black rectangle. Right. You can just do it right in the dropdown. So honestly, useful, right? Click to do improvements. We talked about these last week probably in the context of dev and beta channel. I don't remember, but streamlining that menu because our menus in Windows 11 are growing into nightmares. Just a bunch of stuff. The best. This is me being the old guy. Drag tray. So drag tray is this thing I finally seen. So this one has been in Windows for a little while, but I'd never seen it. And if you're familiar with the way Snap works today, if you grab a window in Windows 11 and you haven't changed the configuration, and you start moving it, you get the little bar comes down from the top.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that so much. I hate it with a burning passion. I don't mind that other people get to use it, by the way, but I want to be able to turn it off, and you can't. So that's nice. So then they added this thing called drag tray, and I'm just going to let me see if I can make it come up on this computer. No, I got rid of it. Oh, no, actually, no, I can't get rid of it. So I might not have it on this one yet. The way this thing works is you drag a file around, and the little thing comes down, and it's basically another interface for share. So you get some of the same high-level options. You can do nearby share with an app, share with a contact, whatever. I don't like it. I don't want it. And I'm not going to crap on Pavan Davuluri, but they are putting an option in there. You can turn it off. There you go. That should have been there from day one, but whatever. No one really has it yet. So it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. But, quick machine recovery, a couple of improvements there, including one which I was kind of curious about, because the original line on quick machine recovery was your computer reboots because something happened. It was like a driver issue. Mm-hmm. So it goes into the Windows recovery environment. It looks up to Windows Update in the knowledge base, sees if other people are having this problem. Maybe there's a fix. If there is a fix, you get the fix. Your computer comes up. Everything's good. If there isn't a fix, it just keeps checking for a fix. So it reboots, checks for a fix, reboots, checks for a fix. So I was like, that doesn't seem like a good solution.
We're going to stay like this until somebody finally deploys a fix. It couldn't be long.
So that's not going to happen anymore. It's going to check for a fix once, and then if you are just using Windows later, you'll get it through Windows Update, like we just had. Mm-hmm. That's the right approach, I think. So anyway, a bunch of stuff. There's more than what I just said, but whatever. Those are most of the big things. So that's interesting. Like I said, more than I expected for December, but okay.
More than I expected and less than I deserved.
Exactly. Right. Yes. Well, wait. No, wait.
What?
I got to parse that a little bit.
By the way, you were excellent as Helm Hammersbland on Monday.
Oh, were you? Was he? I love this.
The first...
his dice skills are...
I have this giant fighter guy with two swords, and he's all... and then I step on a rake and I'm dead, in 2 seconds. It's like this... It's like the scene in the second Deadpool movie where that awesome superhero comes, it's Brad Pitt or whatever. He lands in the lines. And he's like, I think that was him. Anyway, this one I did better though. It was
a lot of fun. We finally got out of the corn maze and it succeeded. I hope we do more of it. It was a lot of fun.
I feel like it's funny. If you've ever played D&D, we did the smallest thing imaginable. It took us 6 hours.
Yeah, it took a long
literally 6 hours.
Maybe because I was screwing around too much, but
there were definitely a lot of sound effects.
I stopped. After a while, I realized that I was annoying people, so I stopped. I thought that was my job as the bard to kind of keep things light and lively. But apparently not.
Even in the wake of Google Bard, you somehow thought it was okay to be a bard. Crazy.
If you are a club member, it's available on the Twit Plus feed. We played actually 6 hours. You're right. 2 3-hour sessions.
I mean, I guess the second one might have been a little shorter, but the first one was a solid close. 3 hours.
It was pretty close. Micah Sargent, our dungeon master, Paul as Helm Hammersbland, what is that from? That's from Halo? Where's that?
No, Helm Hammerhand is the name of the historical figure in the Lord of the Rings who was the inspiration for Helm's Deep.
That's right. Helm's Deep. Hammer Bland, not so much.
I was trying to have a little fun with it.
And Paris Martineau is Cathera Longswallop. I was there. Jacob Ward was there from our Untitled Linux show. Jonathan Bennett as the professor. He was very professorial too, by the way.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He had a pipe. He'd always saying things like, well, I wonder if you roll a 7 natural, he would always
say things, or Mike would be like, oh, it's too bad. You took a lot of damage. He's like, not so fast.
Yeah.
I actually,
paying attention.
whatever.
I've cast the
pretty good
reflector spell without your knowledge. Mm-hmm. A lot of fun. It is on the Twit Plus feed. We're going to probably do more things like that. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Let's pause for a moment, and then we'll get to the big AI segment.
It's in Mexico we would call it a segmentita.
Segmentita.
It is. It's a little
poquito segmentita. Little teeny weeny segment. I want to just tell you all that I had an excellent night's sleep last night. And I can credit it fully to my wonderful Helix Sleep mattress. This episode of Windows Weekly brought to you by Helix Sleep. Now, I know you're entering summertime down there, Richard, in Australia, down under. Up here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting pretty chilly. We're not going to go past 54 degrees today. It's cool nights. But the beauty of the Helix Sleep is whether you're in a hot night or a cool night, the mattress makes a big difference. I loved our Helix Sleep. We had it all summer, and I was sleeping cool all night. No night sweats at all. But in the winter, you might think about this. You're probably spending more time indoors. You're probably even spending more time on your mattress. And I'm not just talking sleeping. I'm talking curling up with a good book or your favorite kitty cat. Rosie loves the Helix. Give her scritches. Maybe watching, a little Netflix and chill. If you've had your mattress for more than 6 years, you need a new one. We found out, I was doing some research, that our mattress, 8-year-old mattress, it was time to replace it. 6 to 10 years max. Because, after a while, as your mattress ages, it starts to sag a little bit. The other thing, I used to wake up and say, there was an earthquake. And Lisa said, no, it's just the cat jumping on the bed. No motion transfer anymore. Don't settle for a mattress made overseas with low quality, kind of questionable materials, and then packed in a box and shipped on a container ship. And you get it, you open the box and, it smells like container ship. Your Helix mattress, no, it's assembled from the finest materials, packaged and shipped right from Arizona. In fact, they assemble it when you order it. So it's just in time, within days of placing your order, and it's fresh. You open up the box and it smells like the desert. It smells like Arizona. It smells wonderful. You could take the Helix Sleep quiz. We did this, where it asks you what kind of sleeper are you? What mattress do you look for? It matches you with the perfect mattress. We're stomach sleepers, so we got our preferences met. I stomach and then slide, and found the perfect mattress. They recommended actually a really nice topper that I can't remember what they call it, but you'll see it on the Helix Sleep website that we put on top. And that really, I love that. And by the way, there's evidence that a good mattress like your Helix Sleep will improve your sleep. They did a Wesper sleep study. Helix measured the sleep performance of participants after switching from their old mattress to a nice new Helix mattress. 82% of the participants in the study saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle. That's the most important one, the one that clears the garbage out of your brain. Participants on average achieved 25 more minutes of deep sleep per night. I would say that's about what I'm getting. 24, it's almost doubled my deep sleep. Participants on average achieved 39 more minutes of overall sleep per night. Yeah, I have to say, I don't have an alarm. I don't have to set an alarm, so I sleep as long as I need. And sometimes, I'd say I'm going to sleep in on my Helix Sleep. It is that nice. Time and time again. Helix Sleep is, just read the reviews, the most awarded mattress brand. Wired tested 100+ bed-in-a-box mattresses recently. What was their number one pick? I was very gratified to see the one we bought, the Helix Midnight Luxe Hybrid, as the best mattress you can buy online. Wired said that. Forbes tested 90 beds. They've tested 90 beds so far this year to find the very best mattress for every sleep type. They also recommend, as their top pick, the Helix Midnight Luxe. It's a great mattress. And I pick it. It's the mattress I sleep on. I love it. Go to helixsleep.com/windows. 27% off site-wide during the Black Friday sale, Best of Web. That's helixsleep.com/windows for 27% off for the Black Friday sale, Best of Web. Now, this offer ends December 1st, so make sure you enter our show name in the post-purchase survey. That way they know we sent you. And if you're listening after the sale ends, still check them out. helixsleep.com/windows. Cannot recommend it more highly. A good night's sleep is everything. For me, anyway. If it is for you, if you care about your sleep, helixsleep.com/windows. And now, we haven't talked enough about AI.
I disagree.
Just a couple more.
Yeah, OpenAI announced ChatGPT 5.1 recently. Actually, they announced what's it called? Excuse the white screen here, but something called GPT 5.1 Codex Max today.
Codex, which is their coding tool.
Yeah, so this one is actually trained to operate on Windows for the first time, apparently.
Nice.
So I guess it's there will be agents. We'll have agent mode on Windows, etc. So this is the thing that can read and write files. It's So nice to see Microsoft's biggest partner finally supporting Windows. So, try not to be freaked out by these people, but when they did GPT-5, it was the news, like it was on CNN, like it was big.
Well, it was also wildly late, right? Like it had been announced for.
It was sycophantic and weird, and people were freaking out. And then they were like, "All right, we're going to scale that back." And then they scale it back, and people were like, "Whoa, we like the weird feely thing that it was." People. People have all these different expectations,
but it really did create the sense of we've peaked.
Yeah,
that five landed soft.
Yeah,
5.1
landed in a, I don't know. Like the door closed behind it.
Nobody noticed. Yeah,
nobody even noticed.
It's so weird that they all announce at the same time. I don't get it. Of the three, Gemini 3 is probably the big story.
Yeah, seems to be the hit.
Gemini 3 was seeded to the media in a way I have never seen. So, when I go through my tech feed in the morning, there were like 8 entries for Gemini 3, 4 or 5 of which were TechBeam things that had 21 links each, and it was like, what is this?
Yeah, they gave it to the influencers early.
Yeah. Well, and mainstream press too. I mean, it was really interesting. Like it was a different thing. So,
because Google has mishandled Gemini announcements before.
They have, yes.
But the A team showed up and says, "We're going to make this one land."
Yeah.
Have you used it? Have you guys played with it at all?
No, it just happened yesterday. I can't catch up with my normal stuff. I really need to spend time on this. Not yet. But, we all know they hit a home run with that Nano Banana thing, which is, whatever the name, it's ridiculous, but
it's the best.
They also very quietly updated.
So good, though.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, because they send me news releases and things, and it's kind of interesting that I don't know that there was ever an actual announcement, but Nano Banana was originally just image to video, but now it's also like image generation. So it's also for just images, and it's like, it's because people are like, wait a minute, I thought this thing was video. And it's like, yeah, it is, but I guess it also does images.
So I asked it yesterday for a little Lisp information, and it did something, this is the slow thinking version. It did something interesting. This is all the thinking stuff. And it talked about its process, like everything that it was doing, a lot of it, before it even answered the question. It's like, it was just so, and then its final review of the answer, final output generation, and then finally the answer, which was book length.
Yep.
And very complete and quite good. This was a simple one sentence prompt, and it's got code examples. It's absolutely accurate. It quotes the sources.
I'm sorry. How did you describe this is the thinking model.
This is the thinking model and a custom gem I had used before.
Because I feel like this is, in other words, you actually wanted something.
Well, you can turn it off. You can stop.
Right. That's what I mean. But like some people are like, I just want the answer. What are you doing? But,
in fact, it's very fast. If you use the fast model, it is, extremely quick.
Okay.
But I just wanted to try the thinking.
Right.
And it really, and you don't have to watch it think, but I that's reassuring, I think, because then you see what it's doing and you understand what's happening.
If there is a single thing missing in the AI tool chain, for lack of a better term, it's literally trust. And it's anything that can establish that and not in a fake way, right? In other words, it's trustworthy, or it makes you trust a little bit more because you feel like something's happening here that's reasonable or whatever. But obviously the answer has to be correct too, right? I mean, so, you use it over time and you're like, okay, actually, this is another one of those kind of human condition things. I was just asking my wife if there was a term for this. I do this with like health related things sometimes, or just with everything. Like
I do that all the time. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if something's wrong,
Yeah.
Complain about it every single day.
Yeah.
And then in my case, what will happen is like 3 days later, she'll be like, hey, whatever it was bothering you. Is everything fine? I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't even notice. It's been fine for 3 days. It's been fine for, I don't even know how long, but I wonder if AI, like everyone has these examples of AI hallucinating and the stupid responses and all the bad things that happen. But at some point you just start using it as a tool, which it is. And when it can be trusted and does actually work all the time, it just becomes part of just part of what you do every day, right? You don't even think about it.
It found me the best ironing board.
There you go. That's just an excellent use of $20 a month, Leo. You're doing great.
The sad thing is, it's not just $20 a month on Gemini. I also on Perplexity, on OpenAI.
No, but come on, man.
That's my job.
Yeah,
I have to.
You need to know what you're doing.
Anthropic, and I use them all, and try to use them in a variety of ways. Image generation's amazing with Google because of Nano Banana.
That one's nice because you can see it and people can evaluate and say, this is a good picture.
Right.
Or it isn't. When it gets into the weeds on something esoteric or technical, like the thing you're doing with the Lisp or whatever, an average person would just look at that and say, well, it seems comprehensive. I don't know. Like, I don't know what
add out a lot of words.
That's why you search for your name when you're trying a new search engine. You search for something you already know.
Right.
And then see how it does. This is, I used, by the way, for our D&D adventure, I used it to generate an image of myself as a bard playing bagpipes.
And this is like
that's really good.
A Brothers Hildebrand style or like Bard's Tale imagery style image. You can see how it got here in a way. Oh yeah, I mean it's not original. No, but that doesn't. Except it's what you wanted, right? But that is what you wanted.
Yeah, like, that's exactly what I wanted.
I think it's good.
And I didn't, I merely wrote, I want create a picture of me as a. This is okay. I'm embarrassed. I'll show it to you though. I took a picture of myself, and I said, use this picture. Create a bagpipe playing bard with a floppy hat in an old tavern using this image. And that's all I told it. And it did it.
Yeah. No,
it's just great.
To this day, the best image I ever created was that Halo thing that looked like was the Last Supper. Because
that was awesome.
Crazy. It was crazy patriotic and religious imagery all over it. And I did not ask for that. Like it was like, we're going to be really creative this time. Yeah. Like I was like, it's still to me like, is like, yikes. Because I've been very specific. And it ignores some of the specific requests I've made,
It does that with code too.
It doesn't like I wanted an image of 3 hands shaking hands somehow. And it just couldn't do it. It was like, you can have 4, you can have 2. It doesn't say that. It just gives you images, but it never did it.
The thing is you could do images, you could do music, you could do searches like for the best ironing board, you could do coding. And I think each of these models excels at some things and not so much at other things. There's no kind of perfect model. I'm very impressed with Gemini 3. And it's also a slice in time, right? So there's no perfect model, or you could say like today, at the time of this recording, this is the best for whatever. And then next week you'll be like, well, actually this week it's something else because things, it's evolving so fast. Yeah. Yeah. It is really, it's kind of mind boggling. It's unbelievable. Yeah. We really interesting. I've never seen anything like this. You know what? I just wish there was more AI in browsers. Thank you. So same. Because right. Because that's the thing I use to browse like e-commerce sites, and I absolutely want that thing having access to all my financial data. So, I appreciate that Mozilla as an organization is trying to turn things around right now. They're listening to feedback and things like that. It's good. I have some fundamental disagreements with strategy here, but whatever. I was very intrigued by this idea, though. This is kind of interesting. So if you think about whatever it means for an AI web browser, an agentic browser, whatever that is, to me, if AI is successful in a browser, it's not a browser anymore. It's just doing the thing for you, right? But there are these people who, I want it to be a browse. I want it to browse. I want it to read. I use it to read. I find things I read, whatever. And okay, fair enough.
So Vivaldi obviously is on one end of this extreme. They're not putting any AI in their browser ever. Their deal is if you want it, the chatbots are out there, help yourself, do whatever you want. And then there are the companies like Microsoft and Google who have existing browsers. They're all in on AI. Obviously, they're going to ruin these things with AI. And then there are new companies like, the browser company or whatever, or smaller companies like Opera making Yen, et cetera. So Mozilla is in kind of a tough spot, right? Their usage is falling, et cetera, et cetera. They have a very opinionated user base. So the people who are still on Mozilla and Firefox are paying attention. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not like there because they're lazy. Like they've like, no, I align with this thing for whatever reason. So they announced a different way to do AI in a browser, which I thought was interesting. And I'm going to predict right now we'll never see the light of day because its users hate it so much. This will never happen. But
well, you talk about the lashback on Pavan. The lashback on Firefox was.
I know it's crazy, and that's it's a small audience, relatively speaking, right? I mean, even more technical, even more opinionated about the world because they're like I said, they're just
you don't run Firefox by accident.
Exactly. So what they've done, what they've announced, they haven't done it, but they want AI to be like a browser mode. Like in other words, there's normal mode, whatever that's called when you're just browsing the web, but there's like an in private mode or whatever, and it's however effective that is, we can talk about that. But their idea is we're going to have a mode called AI window that will be like in private, that is separate from your other browsing stuff. You can't get into your stuff. And when you want AI to do something, you launch a window in that mode, you do your AI stuff, and then it's pluggable. It's going to be pluggable. You can put whatever AI is in it. And then you close that thing and you're back to browsing, and there's no AI doing anything in the back. There's nothing happening. It's just, it's own little, it's like a little time slice or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this is the right approach. I don't mean it like that. Honestly, I'm surprised Apple didn't come up with something like this, but it seems like a pretty good idea. Which is why it's going to fail terribly. There's no way it's going to work. There's no way.
This is not a burn the ships model here. This is This is a dipping the toe model.
Yeah, it's like you can see how different companies align, with how they do AI or not, in Vivaldi's case or whatever. And then like this came out and I was like, huh. Like, I mean, I give them credit for thinking differently, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not saying it's correct, but interesting. That's all.
But they also can't do nothing, right?
Well, that's the thing. And I think a lot of their audience would like them to do nothing. Yes. You could argue that like the Vivaldi approach, which is literally do nothing, but announce that we're doing nothing, mm-hmm. And that will endear them to a certain audience. We'll see how big it is. I mean,
both guys will be thrilled.
Yep, they love it. Private is, in fact, the only thing I don't like about it is I know there's another guy. I just want to be on my own here. I don't really need this stuff. Whatever. I had some guy tell me literally on social media that, like, I don't know if it was Windows or a browser, but he said this thing did everything I wanted it to do in 1998, and it hasn't improved a lick since. And I'm like, dude, like, lie, yeah. Okay.
Don't have a smartphone.
I mean, come on, man. But anyway, so good for Mozilla.
Yeah.
Just as we were starting,
and welcome to the AI firestorm, as a consequence.
Right. I think it's important that everything AI related have some giant controversy around it. Like everything is like, oh my God, the world's ending. It's like chickens running around.
No, it's just a lot of pent up rage out there, and
it's unbelievable. That. Yeah,
and it's often misdirected rage, but it is rage. But it's easy to be angry.
It's the best kind of rage,
with
Richard,
anything called AI.
Yeah, it's like a road rage thing where, like, the guy almost kills you, and you're standing there waiting for the police to show up. And you're like, "What was that all about?" He's like, "Oh, my wife pissed me off." Really? Like, okay. And you saw me and thought,
this is my chance.
I'll take it out on you. It's like, all right. That's all I have for AI. So
wow.
I promise it was a snippet.
It's a light AI show today.
Segmentita.
So how about we talk about, I know it's a little early, but
we have a lot. I have this, there's a lot.
Okay.
And in fact, this is going to bleed into the back of the book there. But as we were starting the show, I got an email from Qualcomm, and they have announced they're calling it a control panel, but it's for Snapdragon X gaming. And what it really is a new set of Adreno drivers that will hopefully enable more games to work on Snapdragon X. And they're specifically talking X and X2. X2 Elite and X2, because that's only Elite and what's the other one? Extreme or something, whatever they're calling it. So I haven't had a chance to even look at this, but this is interesting. I thought people,
but we don't have X2s yet, right? They're announced.
No, that's not happening until next year sometime. Yeah. So
as soon as I'm on the bandwagon for that one. As soon as I can get my hands on one, that's my new laptop.
So tied to this, there's some platform changes coming, right? And some are here and some are coming. This is like AVX2 emulation has been released in Windows. This is going to open up more apps, but games really, to run under Prism, the emulator. Remember they had announced Fortnite and Easy Anti-Cheat and that stuff. This is part of this. I don't know that it's out yet, but it probably isn't. I'm looking at the announcement. I don't think it's out yet, but they're bringing the Easy Anti-Cheat to Windows and ARM. Fortnite, obviously.
I thought that was solved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I think this is how this gets delivered. Like it's part of the driver set that you get here, because there's new graphics drivers. It's not the whole thing, but hopefully this control panel, just based on the screenshot I see here, is the thing the Xbox app should be. Which is when you run that thing on a Windows and ARM device, it should only show you the stuff that's going to work, right? Because you could right now, like I'm running this on, the laptop I'm using right now is the lowest end Snapdragon X processor you can buy. It is the lowliest of those processors. It's awesome, but I'm not going to play games on this thing, right? But I could install Call of Duty, 250 gigabytes or whatever size that thing is, take 2 days to download it, and then I could try to run it. It will not run, but the Xbox app will let me do that, which is stupid, right? And so I'm hoping that this thing, the way this works is it actually just shows you the stuff that's going to work, right? Because that's what we need. We need like a curated view of what's there. So we'll see. You might have heard, because I would have talked about it, that there is a full screen. There is a full screen experience in the Xbox Ally gaming handhelds, right? So currently that's Asus. There was a recent Windows Insider build where you could get it on the MSI Claw. It is coming to the Legion Go 2, which is the Lenovo, which is the one with the biggest screen. The same as the other ones, though. It's, integrated controllers, right? And there is lots of information online about how you can kind of just install this in any computer you want, right? And so if you have a gaming PC, whether it's a laptop or a desktop computer, do not do this. There's no, other than maybe you want to see it, but it's actually really good on.
I want to see this on my 5080, man. This would be hilarious.
Well,
and I haven't seen my 5080 in 2 months.
It's the thing that's cool about it is you can access everything that it shows you with the controller. And what that means is, so for example, from the full screen experience, you can bring up the game bar and you get these additional options you don't get in Windows normally for things like settings and so forth. You can run the settings app, and the settings app is fully navigable or selectable, the items, with a controller. Like it actually works, like it's a full screen app, whatever. I don't know. I'm just looking at this right up ahead because I'll talk about this in a little while again. I guess I didn't have it yet. So when I wrote this article, I had just installed it. What I have noticed, let me see what this thing says. So at the time I hadn't seen it. So this thing actually, just doing this bumps the frame rate I'm playing Call of Duty still, Black Ops 6, by... I'm going to call it anywhere from 5 to 15 frames per second. Same settings otherwise. Like it's actually makes a difference. Like it's nice. And it works well. So there's a goofy kind of, I did an episode of Hands on Windows that's not going to be out yet, but where I kind of showed this thing off, and everything runs full screen. So it's weird because if you think of you can type, if you're connected to a keyboard, Windows key plus E will bring up File Explorer like it does in any PC. But you can't like recite, like you can't go up and restore the window to not be full screen. It just doesn't do anything. And if you do a really long file copy, the file copy dialog appears up in the top left corner of the screen, but the rest of the screen is blank, and it will not show over anything else. Like it just sits there and does its file copy. You can switch away from it, but you can't, it's a full screen experience. So like, unlike Windows 8, which was also a full screen experience, this is good. And it's doing things behind the scenes, right? It's cutting down on background processes, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really...
I own the whole screen, therefore I should own the majority of the processing.
Yeah. Trying to get it a little closer to being a device. Still a computer, obviously, but
because if you throttle those other processes of compute resources and memory, they have less resources to crash your system with, right?
Yeah. There are still dialogues that can appear, right? And this is the old media center problem where you'd be sitting there with the controller and it would be like,
and then all of a sudden, point, with an OK button on it, and it's not OK, but you have to agree.
You're like in the middle, you're like going down, like playing Call of Duty. You're looking down to say you're running down a hallway, and then suddenly it's like, boop, you better plug in. You're about to run out of battery, and you're like, you get destroyed right there, and you're like, thanks, Microsoft.
That's awesome.
We're still working on that, but it's it's getting there. And then this just happened too. I haven't looked at this too closely, but Epic Games announced that, or Microsoft or Epic Games announced that Fortnite is coming to the Xbox on the PC. Now, obviously, you can run Fortnite on a PC, but it will support Xbox Play Anywhere, so you can move between the same. Not a multiplayer game, obviously, but your progress and all that stuff will work between, the PC version of the game, console version of the game, and gaming handhelds, whatever you're using, right? Yeah. So that's nice. Kind of cool. Yeah. And there was another, I don't have it in the notes, but they also announced that Fortnite is going to support Unity, and they're going to bring Unity technology. Like, it's like Fortnite Fortnite's going to turn into like a platform of some kind. Like, I know. Wait till they add agents in Windows.
It's also a reminder that Fortnite was originally like a building game. The whole, grand shooter thing came later.
That's right.
So in some ways, it'd be going back to their roots that they've provided extensibility models like that.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
So you can build a village and be teabagged in it. It's excellent.
Listen, we all want to teabag our neighbors. I'm just saying it's okay.
As long as it's not done in anger. That's my feeling.
You want a joyful teabagging.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there's always going to be a little anger, but come on. It's okay. It comes from a good place. No, it doesn't. I don't know.
Oh my God.
It is, what is the date? It must be the 19th. Yeah. So we're already in the second half of the month. So another round of games for Game Pass.
Here. I'm in the future. So
yeah, right. You're already in December. So you probably have other new games. I don't know. Yeah. None of these speak to me personally, but there's a bunch of them, and I don't know. I'll just go back to Call of Duty. It doesn't matter. So anyway, that's happening. This feels a little late in the year for me, and I actually linked to the wrong article in the notes. Sorry, but Microsoft announced, or Xbox announced, Xbox being part of Microsoft, that they're going to have a partner preview event on November 20. So that's tomorrow, as we record this. And they do several of these a year now. Remember, we used to have E3 and it was like the big thing, but you might have, if something was big enough, they'd have a special event. But now we have many, many virtual events throughout the year where they show off new games. And so this is specifically for third parties, so not Microsoft Studio games. IO Interactive, Tencent, THQ are among the developers who will be showing off games that are coming soon to Xbox consoles, Xbox on PC, Xbox Game Pass, et cetera, et cetera. So, cool.
It's good news.
And then I just wanted to, because I did say this last week, I'm not usually very good at predicting things, but as soon as I saw the Steam Machine thing, the new one, I was like, oh man, everyone dumped on Xbox for, planning to turn Xbox into the PC. Now these guys, they've already been doing it, but it's a PC, and it's like, it's a console that's a PC, and people are like, yep. Take my money. And it's like, dude.
It's the Gabe Cube, right?
Come on, man. Like, come on.
Somebody asked me, and I didn't have a good answer. Maybe you guys would. Mm-hmm. How this differs from the original Steam Machine, and why is it better? Because the original Steam Machine didn't really take off, right?
Yep. Well, first of all, it's years later. So
right.
But the big thing that's changed in the PC space, this is something I've brought up a bunch of times because it's astonishing to me, is that you can buy a mainstream laptop right? It could have an Intel chip in it. It could have an AMD. AMD would be better, but whatever. And you can play modern 3D shooters, AAA titles at high frame rates, native resolutions, really good. Like it's just using integrated graphics. I mean, obviously, if you add NVIDIA graphics, even better. It will be louder, thicker, heavier, whatever, but it will be better, absolutely. But it's astonishing to me how well games just work on mainstream hardware. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be tied to this, right? So when you look at this thing, it's weird. It says it's described as a semi-custom AMD Zen 4 CPU. Zen 4 is not the latest generation. That's the previous generation. No. But this is probably very close to the Z2 chips that are in these gaming handhelds. And it's probably closer to that. Like, I bet it doesn't have an MPU to speak of or anything like that. Like, this one it's slightly custom, but these things are always slightly custom. It seems like a console type thing, like Sony and Xbox do this, right, with AMD as well. But it's a PC, right? Let's be super clear. This thing is a PC. And I think it's just because the PC space has evolved enough where this is just, better than it was.
You're not going to like this one answer. Okay. Which is that it is Linux.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That 8 years ago, there just wasn't much support for gaming.
They've done that work.
But they've done Proton, the compatibility layer, and now pretty much everything runs on it.
Yeah, so when I get home from here, I'm going to have a much broader selection of computers to play with. I installed
normally you're so constrained.
I only have 8 here, Richard. I don't know why.
Only.
How many hands do you have?
Yeah, I don't.
How many brains?
Well, I don't have much in the way of good dedicated graphics anywhere here. I have a couple, like kind of 2 gens ago, whatever. Nothing great. So the games I played in Linux through Steam on that laptop were not great. Like it wasn't great. I suspect that because it's Steam and they're working with AMD on this, and they have their emulator. This will be fine-tuned for that, and
it's now really
it's so much Linux better than it was
because it's just going to be this makes it really.
You got to remember, like, I can't speak to the Linux side of this, but in Windows, it wasn't that long ago where you got the Windows desktop, you have some apps running, whatever it is, you launch a game, it changes the resolution of the screen. You see all the windows kind of contract and screw around, whatever. You play the game. And then you get out, and if you're lucky, nothing crashed. And then your windows are all scrunched up in the corner or whatever it is. Like it was kind of a crappy experience.
Annoying. Yeah.
So that they've actually this has been fixed. Like it's pretty seamless. I mean, moving in and out of games, like it's evolved as a platform. So the Linux side I can't speak to too much, but I'm sure that has as well. So I think we're in a better place.
It's going to do 4K ray tracing at 60 frames per second. So
that seems unlikely.
That seems I don't even.
But with only 8 gigs of VRAM,
I don't quite understand that.
I don't know how you get all that in there.
Well, and as somebody said in our Discord chat, in the club chat, Burke said it. The price is the key. I mean, we don't know what the price is.
Well, and that's where I think the 8 gigs of VRAM, 16 gigs of RAM
tells you it's really less expensive.
Which, by the way, is also tied to our industry, my industry, failing us again because they're terrible. And it's like, Steam is doing what Microsoft wants to do, but they're doing it now. And it's like, no, they're not. We don't even know what the price of this thing is.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, this thing is as much vaporware as anything right now.
Sure.
I mean,
we'll historically, Gabe toys are not cheap.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, look, I am absolutely interested in this thing. I'm not dumping on it, but the pass that they get on this is astonishing to me. Yeah. Whereas every little thing that dribbles out from Xbox is like, oh, screw you guys, you killing Xbox, and it's like, guys, geez, like, come on.
Yeah, Steam is beloved. Valve is a beloved company. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, which is bizarre to me because I've used their software and it's terrible. So I don't like. You've actually used Steam.
Client
Steam is terrible.
Awful. I agree.
It's like it's a freaking ad that pops up in front of everything.
But the reason it succeeds is it's very easy to. The store is great. It's easy to buy a game, and then all your games are there, and it's easy. And
but that works on Xbox. The Xbox app on Windows as well, by the way. And that, if anything, is even easier. It's a much better process for keeping games up to date and whatever. Not that it's perfect. I mentioned the Call of Duty 180 gigabyte update that was actually, just the same game again.
There's no reason to think Call of Duty would be available on the Steam machine.
No, because of the anti-cheat thing, by the way, right? Which is not
a lot of anti-cheat stuff.
That to me is that's the thing. That's the river those guys have to cross. They need to figure that out.
Well, the real question is how long before there's a Gabe cube that's ARM?
Right.
Right.
And will that Gabe cube, in fact, be a Microsoft Xbox cube? We'll see.
Or maybe this makes SteamOS credible, and there are many players making SteamOS-based cubes.
Right. Why not? I mean, actually, that was kind of the plan. I thought that was the plan.
I think it was 8 years ago.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, by the way. And we'll know that this has worked when Microsoft and or Sony both announce they're bringing titles to this platform. Right. So we'll see. I have no problem with that. I mean,
that just makes me happy because that means there's more stuff I can run on my Linux box.
That's it.
Well, but fundamentally, right, it's this is open, not winning, but succeeding. And this is what you want, right? Even if you're not a Linux guy, this is good.
Right.
Like this will make everything better.
Right.
So it's good news.
All right, get ready for the back of the book. That is just around the corner. Before we do that, let me say hello to our sponsor for this segment of Windows Weekly, good folks at Framer. This is a lifesaver for anybody who is working on websites or design in general. If you're still jumping from one tool to another just to update your website, you're going to love Framer. It unifies design, CMS, and publishing on a single canvas. So no more handoffs, transfer of files, no hassle. Everything you need to design and publish is all there. It's in one place. Framer already built the fastest way to publish beautiful, production-ready websites, and it's now redefining how you design for the web with the recent launch of Design Pages, a free canvas-based design tool. Framer is now more than a site builder. It's a true all-in-one design platform. From social assets to campaign visuals to vectors and icons, all the way to a live site, Framer is where ideas go live, start to finish. Framer is a free, full-feature design tool. Can I maybe should say free again, because it doesn't. This sounds like this should cost you money. No, it's a free, full-feature design tool. Unlimited projects, free. Unlimited pages, free. Unlimited collaborators, free. And all the essentials, vectors, 3D transforms, gradients, wireframes, everything you need to design, totally free. Now, you might say, well, I don't get it. Well, they do have a pro version, and you may well want to buy the pro version. But what you can do with this thing absolutely free is mind-blowing. Framer is your entire workflow in one place. No Figma imports, no messy HTML. It's faster, it's cleaner, it's more efficient. You can design more than websites, too. I mean, Framer lets you create social assets, campaign visuals, icons, even site resources without leaving the tool. You don't have to switch back and forth. Framer, you want to remember that name. It stands above the others because it's not just a site builder. It's a true design tool that also publishes professional, production-ready sites, a design tool that does both. If you're ready to design, iterate, and publish all in one tool, start creating for free at framer.com/design. You can use the code WW for a free month of Framer Pro. That's framer.com/design and the promo code WW. Framer.com/design, promo code WW. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do use that promo code, though, even if you're just going to stick with the free tool. That way they know you saw it here. Framer.com/design, promo code WW. We thank them so much for supporting Windows Weekly. Let's kick things off with Paul Thurrott's back of the book tip of the week.
This one will be a little repetitive. I apologize, but I've spent a bunch of time with this on this trip. And for people that are concerned about those things they don't like about Windows 11, and instead of bullying the guy who runs Windows, you could actually fix the problem. Tiny11 Builder has proven to be an incredible solution. I wasted 2 weeks of my life, not just doing this, but I tried to customize the PowerScript shell that the guy made to create this minimal Windows 11 install, and that was a huge mistake. the process of it's a command line thing where you take a standard Windows 11 ISO and transform it into a new ISO, which you can then optionally put onto a USB stick with the computer, install it. That process takes 20 to 30 minutes. The process of installing Windows takes 20 to 30 minutes. And then when it comes up and it's not what you wanted, you got to start all over again. So that wasn't great.
You pulled a Pornell. You did this.
Oh, yeah, multiple times.
So
how many times can I punch myself? It's like, how many licks does it take to get to the middle of a Tootsie Roll Pop? It's like 1, 2, 3. That was me. So it took a while. I finally figured out. And then I looked at his documentation, and he literally has a to-do list. And one of the items on the to-do list is make this thing customizable. So right. It's finely tuned. What I was trying to do was reinstall, like have it include some of the apps I actually do use. What I learned was that even adding one of them will make Edge and OneDrive appear magically for some reason, which is what I was trying to avoid. One of the things I was trying to avoid. So the answer to those of you who say, well, maybe I want to use Microsoft Paint because that's one of the apps it takes out. Or I want to use the Xbox app and all of the Xbox stuff that goes around that, right? Or I think Terminal might be one of the apps, whatever they are. You can just install them from the store. It's not a big deal. In fact, you can add them to the Winget script you might have to bulk install apps. So actually, there's no reason to do what I did. This is how I spend my time. At the time of this article, I had reinstalled Windows on a second computer. I've actually now this morning installed it on a third. So 3 of the 8 computers I have right now have these kind of minimal installs of Windows 11, which is not going to help me past Friday because we're going home soon. But I'm going to go do the same to a bunch of computers when I get back. So this is one of those things I need to monitor over time to make sure it doesn't revert, whatever. But this is still a great solution. So now that it's not behind me, I'm going to do more of this. But I'm going to start looking more at tools that will just do this to an existing Windows 11 install. Like, WinInstall is one of those things. Chris Titus has a utility, et cetera. So I'll be looking at all that stuff soon as well. But this one really does. It's really good.
Well, I appreciate you putting your money where your mouth is there, dude. Like you're putting your time into actually making Windows 11 suck less.
Yeah. I mean, my wife hears me swearing at myself in the other room and she wonders what's wrong. But it's been going great.
Yeah, that's been decades of that. I'm not going to
yes.
worry. I don't think
she's like, you might actually have Tourette's. So today finally, this is when I meant to do this as long ago as a week ago, but I published my review of the Lenovo Legion Go 2. So this is the biggest of the handheld gaming PCs that we have now. It will be getting that full screen experience sometime next year, hopefully soon, because it's awesome. I had a lot of reliability issues with this thing, but honestly, they've calmed down over the past couple of weeks. I'm thinking Microsoft and or Lenovo have gotten on top of some of the stuff. There was one serious problem I had that is common to all of these machines, like the Xbox ROG Allies all have the same problem. So some of it is solved. But I'm trying to imagine what the market is for this exactly, because it's a computer. It has a small screen. It's essentially a tablet, right, with a little kickstand in the back. The controllers are kind of connected to the side.
But they detach.
They detach. You can use one with a little base as kind of a high-resolution mouse for like a first-person shooter mode. Do not recommend that. It's very bulky, but plus you also need a keyboard. But here's the thing. This thing actually works really, really well. It's much better with that full screen experience. Like that actually puts it over the top because it's that thing where Windows gets in the way a little bit, not a little bit, a lot maybe. There's a couple of things I really, really like about this, but from a performance perspective and maybe graphics quality perspective, this is better than any of those mainstream laptops I was just talking about. You could get a laptop with dedicated graphics, then we could have a different conversation. But it's 1920 by 1200, it's OLED, multi-touch, 144 hertz, variable refresh rate,
and with an 8-inch screen on it.
Yeah, it's 8.8 inches.
Yeah, almost a 9.
Most of them are like 7-ish. They're in there.
Wasn't that Satya Nadella's old line that any Windows box under 9-inch screen is free. The Windows license is free? Yeah.
I think it was 8-inch. I think that maybe. Well, that's a good point. I don't know if that's changed. That when he said that Windows Phone was still a thing, so it's kind of hard to say if that's still
they've changed
the deal. I did play a variety of games on this, but I spent the most time in Black Ops 6 in my case, and some 7 at the end, but I'm not going to count that. But there's a lot to configure here. There's a really nice like quick settings panel you can pop up with a button from the side where you can configure, everything. It's really nice, but it has its own thermal modes that are in addition to the power management mode. So you can kind of really screw around with it. But even with both unbalanced and it on battery, right? Because that's the third variable here, because you get more performance when it's on battery, when it's on power, sorry. This thing is like, the frame rate in Call of Duty is better than what I get on most laptops, like meaning it's, I'm going to say 55 to 75 frames per second. Most of the graphic settings on normal to high, somewhere in there, like in the middle. But it looks great.
You can't see this at this point, right?
It's hard, yeah. Right. Well, you can't. You can see a 1 pixel sniper in the distance, and it's like, what is that flash? You're dead. But I have old eyes, and it's tough for me a little bit. But actually, I got used to the screen. For whatever that's worth, I have seen over 100 frames per second on this thing.
Wow.
And that's with everything.
Not that you can actually see that. You just saw the number, but
I can't see it at all. But I'm telling you, it's up in the corner, and it's like, well, no, that's not fair. Amazing. So if you, I don't remember the names of the modes anymore, but if you put it on like, whatever the most friendly to the battery thing is, and then you do the thermal mode to like quiet, whatever. Now we're talking like 20, 25 frames a second. I can see that. Yeah, that is a horrible experience, right? But just the normal. It's, I'm surprised by how good this is. Like, it is.
On one hand, I'm delighted. On the other hand, I'm not surprised because the Lenovo guys, their hardware team is just a bit unleashed. Like they're allowed to make stuff. They really are.
It's too bad they couldn't have gotten this full screen experience from day one, because this, honestly, it transforms the device, because the PC-ness of this thing is obvious. You get it's a desktop with a taskbar. There's a little Mylar touchpad on one of the controllers so you can actually move, because you need it. Like you're going to be interacting with dialogues and stuff, right? Yeah. But once you get the full screen thing going, which, I didn't factor into the review per se, other than to say it's going to get way better. It really does make a difference. And it's neat in the way that, like, if you're playing a game and the option might say in the menu, quit to desktop, it quits to the full screen experience, right? It quits to the Xbox app, right? Which that's the front end. It actually works really, really well. Like it's very nicely done. So yeah, the speakers are good. The performance is unbelievable. The connectivity is good. It's it's USB 4, so you get 40 gigabits per second. But one port of the
plug it into a big screen.
Yes, you can do that. I didn't test it that way. I tried it one time. Just okay, that works. It's fine. You can do that. I ran the battery down a bunch of times just to kind of test that. I mostly played with it on power. But I spent a lot of time going between the different settings. I also just started using an Xbox controller instead of the built-in ones at some point, just to get over that little hump. But I'm surprised. I wasn't sure what to expect here. I really wanted to see the Xbox thing, so that was kind of cool. But the performance and just the whole experience thing mostly. I do have a picture of that thing I was talking about in the review, Richard. The battery is running low, the dialogue pops up, and you're like, are you serious? I don't know how obvious it is from the picture because it's blocked, but I'm laying on the floor with a guy. I'm trying it. There's a guy you can't see because he's behind the dialogue. Hilarious. And I got killed 1 second after this screenshot was taken.
Of course you did.
It was unbelievable. So the Lenovo Legion, it's called Lenovo Space, is like their version of the Xbox app. So it's like you can have all your games in one place. Like, yeah, that's cute. That is not useful other than installing firmware updates and things like that. But the slide out quick settings thing they have, multiple tabs, that is awesome. Like it's awesome. And now with the full screen experience, everything just works with the controller, like everything. It's really good. So I can, it's expensive. It's hard to find. That's the other problem. But
it is pricey. Right?
Yep.
How much?
Well, it starts at $1,100, but the one I have, which is 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage, which by the way, you're definitely going to want, right, is $1,350.
That's a PC.
Yeah, it is a PC.
It is a PC. Yeah.
You can swap out the SSD. So if you get the lower end one, want to get a bigger M2, you can do that. It's kind of fun. It's kind of, I didn't look, I've seen a picture. I didn't do it myself, but the 6 screws, you can just take off the back panel. But the SSD, they come in different like widths, like lengths or whatever. And the one that's in there is one of the short ones. I don't remember the name for that, but there's room for the bigger one. So if there are bigger SSDs.
So that's an easy upgrade, it sounds.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, just all you need is a screwdriver. So it's good.
So you like playing on it? Would you choose it over your Xbox?
I have. So that's the thing. So I've been gaming on laptops. Look, the truth is I'm like 58 years old. I could kind of use a bigger screen, but I got really used to it. And when that huge update occurred that I complained about last week, I installed it on whatever the couple of laptops are I have that game on as well. And I did play on one of the big, it's like a 16-inch screen. And I actually found it kind of difficult to play on the screen because it was I had to push it back. I was like, oh my God.
It's too close. It's too big.
I got used to it. And I did not expect that. I feel like.
So the advantage, obviously, is this portable. I mean, it's not super portable, but it's.
Well, if you think that 2 to 3 hours of battery life is portable, I guess it is. It's
not,
like
so
3 times as thick as a typical laptop. It's, but it's, I don't know.
It's the big handheld. Like, for those who are into handhelds, this is the
monster. And that's the thing. When you think about handheld gaming, you think Switch, right? And Switch is all these cute little games and it's cute. And then you think about PC gaming and it's like some guy in his basement with some giant like wraparound screen and 3 GPUs or whatever. And whatever he's running, like Flight Simulator at 1,000 frames a second or something. And so what's the market for this? It's like, I like the idea of the Switch, but I want to play that game, and I want to do it on a controller. That's the other thing, by the way, right? So when you think about PC gaming, I play on a controller. I came out of Xbox, right? So I am used to the controller. I prefer the controller. I like it. I'm not going to go back to keyboard and mouse. Like kids can't do that anymore. So now we have a PC where you're going to use a controller. You're just going to use a controller. I mean, you could add a keyboard, but geez, I mean, why would you do that? So what's that cross section look like? I bet it's pretty small, but I have to say, there's something about this thing I really, really like. And I had these reliability issues, and normally I'd be like, nope, that's the end of this. But this hasn't happened in a while. This is that thing I was talking about earlier, where in the first few weeks, I'd be in the middle of a game and it would just freeze. Or one time or more than one time actually, it rebooted. Like just the computer started booting again. I'm like, I was in the middle of a game. And, you notice that. But I haven't seen that now in like weeks. I mean, it's been a while. So maybe, I don't know, some combination of Microsoft and Lenovo updates. I don't know. But it's gotten better.
Yeah.
Just some driver updates, I bet.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it.
Well, read all about it at Thurrott.com. In fact, both of the last 2 stories are all there on Thurrott.com. Become a premium member, and that way you get all the goodness, all the
nougaty internals.
Yes. As long as you're joining Thurrott.com, can I entice you to join Club Twit? As I mentioned, we do a lot of fun things in Club Twit. When you join, you get ad-free versions of all the shows. Hello, Richard. You also get, I'm going to just, if you don't mind, just take you out of this particular shot. You also get, so it's just me and the people, the club members. First of all, a big thank you to members. You make it possible for us to do so much. 25% of our operating income comes from Club Twit members. Now, if you are a Club Twit member, you wouldn't be seeing this unless you're watching live, because we don't put the plugs in or the ads. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get access to the wonderful Club Twit Discord, which, to my mind might be the best benefit. It's an amazing place to hang out with some really smart, interesting people and talk about not just the shows, but all the things, geeks are interested in. There's also the special programming we do, like our Dungeons and Dragons game on Monday, Chris Marquardt's photo guide, Stacy's book club. Coming up later today, Micah's crafting corner, and Scott Wilkinson is going to do, he does this every month, a chat with the Discord, ask your home theater questions. So we've got 2 events coming up today. So if you're not a member, do me a favor, twit.tv/clubtwit. There is right now a 10% off coupon for the holidays. It ends Christmas Day, but if you want to give it to yourself or to a family member or fellow geek as a gift, this would be a good time to do that. There's a 2-week free trial. There's family plans and enterprise plans as well, annual or monthly. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Please, we would love to have you in the club. Now, I put that right before Richard's whiskey segment because I figured that's going to keep people tuned in. But first, let's find out what's coming up on RunAs Radio.
This is the last of the binary shows. This is 10-11, or in binary 11.
Oh,
because after this now,
I was wondering why you called them the binary shows. I get it.
Because I had a chain of numbers that were just ones and zeros. So
nice.
The next time this is going to happen is like 2 years from now when we get to 1100. Oh Lord!
Oh no,
that happened. And this was one of the shows I recorded on the road. In fact, at Tekorama in Utrecht with Deepthi Chelupati, who is one of the engineers working on site reliability engineering agents in Azure, SRE agents. So really one of the experts in the space, and we had an amazing conversation. And so what were we talking about? I mean, we were talking about real agentic behavior where now I can have tools that are monitoring telemetry and logs and events and so forth round the clock. And at the minimum, being able to package up a ticket. So we've got an error that's occurred in the log that crosses the threshold of this should be something we respond to. And instead of waiting for us to respond to it, this agent's already in action doing the initial diagnostics, maybe pulling additional information so that by the time a person looks at it, it's got the initial set of data you would have fetched anyway. So you're able to respond a little faster. But you can go further than that to recognize, hey, this might actually be a coding error of some kind. This represents an error in the application. And now these agents can be exploring into the code and maybe making recommendations, even producing tickets onto the coding side of things over to the devs to say, this occurred in production. Here's the events that occurred. Here's the possible issues. Here's a breakdown of potential fixes. Again, leveraging these tools to speed recovery, to be able to keep folks moving forward and to spend less time on diagnostics, which if you ever go and do analysis of errors in production, you realize the vast majority of it is diagnostics. The action to repair is usually pretty short once we actually understand the problem. And so these SRE agents are tools that Microsoft uses internally. And now they're being made available to us as well, operating our own applications, being able to oversee at a lot of different levels. And we focus on most of the disaster recovery aspects of it, but telemetry monitoring as a whole was something I think we just often don't have time to do as administrators. Like I was always a big fan of when a new major version of an app pushed out, and this is back in the era of that was every 6 months. I was very big on watching logs for the new features being used. A, they were the things most likely to tip the system over for increasing utilization. And B, it was always good to report on utilization, just to how much was the new feature being used and so forth. Like that was beneficial to everybody. The fact that we could have agentic tools now doing that routinely and possibly even going so far as to recommend, hey, here's a problem that's going to occur. We're going to run out of resources because this utilization is pretty high, or that this is obviously a feature that's frustrating people because you're seeing these same cycles of problems happening over and over again. Doesn't raise to the threshold of a crisis, but you could get into more preventative work with these tools just because they're able to monitor at a deeper level. And they knew this stuff cold. Like she was deeply is making the product come true, and somebody you want to connect with if you're starting to use these things and struggling with. So check it out on the site. And by all means, have a listen. It's a good show. Very happy to have chatted with her.
Nice. Now, let's talk whiskey.
Most popular Irish whiskey in the world, friends. What is it?
Jameson.
And by a mile, like not even close, right? Jameson is the only Irish whiskey that bats at the degree of Johnny Walker and Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. Like it's big. And it's very inexpensive. Right. I mean, it's part of a very large mass produced out of the New Middleton distillery, that last distillery when the Irish system was on its knees in the late 60s, 70s. This was the major distillery, and you can buy a bottle of regular Jameson for $20, right? And by the way, absolutely nothing wrong with a Jameson. If I'm in the mood for an Irish, that's the one I can find on the shelf of virtually any bar, anywhere, at any time. And that is not the Jameson I had the other night at a particular whiskey party I may have referred to a few times.
Nobody would just bring a Jameson, 12.
No,
they have to bring something special, right?
And even a Jameson 12 was fairly unusual. Like, just these are blended whiskeys. Why do they have an age declaration?
Even have an age?
Like, this is so strange.
Yeah.
Obviously, a few things we've talked about the original Jameson before. One of the most relevant thing being John Jameson was originally a Scot who moved to Dublin and was making whiskey in the late 1700s. It was his son that took over in the 1800s as the taxation systems and so forth came into play. I was reminded going back through the old notes about in 1832 when Aeneas Coffee makes the coffee still, the continuous distillation still, that it was actually the Irish that didn't like it. Right? Because you have the incumbent distillers, they're all doing pot distillation, in many cases triple distillation. And so they don't want to be interfered with by this newfangled device that uses steam heat and continuous distills and so forth. And it's the Scots that jump all over it and start using that. And that's when you get those famous stories like Dalmore got these big gin pot stills because the gin producers are all switching to column stills because column stills can get to 90+% alcohol very easily. And that makes better gin. It was less expensive to run. You could make more of it and so forth. And so it was the Scots that were reducing the value of whiskey. And so the Irish added the E to whiskey to distinguish themselves from the cheap Scottish whiskey that didn't have an E. Now, obviously, things change, and these days, column stills are ever, including at the New Middleton Distillery, and Jameson is made with this, right? That's not a big change in that sense. And again, I'll remind you, the Irish whiskey industry all but collapsed in the 1960s till there was only, from hundreds of distilleries, literally 2 left. Up in North Africa. Up in North Ireland, the Bushmills Distillery and the Jameson Distillery, which then was rebuilt in the 1970s to become the New Middleton Distillery, and they bought up all the brands. Right, this is where the Spots live. This is where Tullamore Dew live. Everything sort of went there. But the most important thing with the New Middleton Distillery was it wasn't designed to make only one whiskey. It was designed to be able to switch between different productions. So they had all these different recipes and approaches to making whiskey, and here was this one distillery that could make them all. So it could keep the industry alive. And that, needless to say, things have expanded and changed. And there's a bunch of other distilleries again. Kilbeggan is now around, and Cooley, Connemara, and so forth. The standardization of Irish whiskey really, while there have been multiple revisions on it, the last sort of main one now is the 2016 version, which is you must be distilled and matured in Ireland. That includes the Republic of Ireland as well as North Ireland. And mashes of malted and unmalted cereals and grains. So they don't care what it is. It can be barley, can be wheat, can be oats, like whatever you want. Does not have to be malted. And you can use diastase of malt as well as natural enzymes, different ways to do digestion to be able to produce more sugars, fermented by yeast. You can distill up to as high as 94.8, which is incredibly high. But generally speaking, Irish whiskeys are distilled to higher levels. When you think about what's an Irish whiskey, you talk about this lightness and this smoothness and so forth. And part of that is that they tend to distill higher, which does pull some of those harsher flavors out of it. Of course, it has to value about 40% as a finished product to be a spirit. That's consistent all over the world, for better or worse. There are generally 3 varieties of Irish whiskey that are recognized. There's the single pot still, very traditional. There's single malts and single grains, plus all of the blended variations. And if you're going to use an age statement, and most Irish whiskeys do not, it has to be the youngest thing in the bottle. Traditionally, E in the name whiskey, but not a requirement. So I think they're over that old rage from back in there. And so today there's about 40, 50 distilleries in Ireland. They're doing very well. And Jameson, of course, is the most famous blended whiskey. In the traditional Jameson, it is 50% barley malt from pot stills, 50% column still, of which 40% is malted and 60% is unmalted. If you remember back in the other times we've talked about Irish, there was a period where the English were taxing them for malts. So they started using unmalted to avoid taxes, and then found that it tasted good. And so they still do that to this day. Normally, Jameson whiskey is aged in bourbon casks, specifically Wild Turkey. But they also occasionally have sherry casks as well. And that is then, and the regular product is 4 to 7 years old. And that is not what I drank this day. I had a taste of Jameson's Rarest Vintage Reserve from 2007. And I've included a link to the Jameson site because this is nowhere to be found on the website whatsoever anymore.
Another one of those whiskeys we can't get.
So what actually happened? It took me a while to figure out, like, where did this whiskey come from? It's a total odd duck. There's been a couple of these vintage editions. There was one even in the 90s. But it always comes down to the same old thing, which is they found some old barrels. And by old barrels, I mean 20-plus-year-old barrels.
Wow.
Stashed away in a back corner. Okay. And so this specifically is what they call these 4 Jameson Masters. So first and foremost, Master Distiller Barry Crockett. He had likely laid these barrels up in the 80s, and he located them. And again, remember, this is 2007. So Crockett, who made these things, and now 20 plus years on, they run across them like, oh, yeah, okay. Billy Layton, who's the master blender, the guy. So you have a master blender when you're making blends. Brendan Monks, who is the master of maturation, or what we now really call a barrel man. So these are the folks who go around and inspect barrels and test their state and so forth. And then David Quinn, who is sort of the former master distillery these days, who's called the master of whiskey science and has been in charge of quality control at the New Middleton Distillery since the early 80s. So these 4 sort of collaborate on this. Billy Layton, who is the master blender, sort of leads with this. And here's the important part. What's distinguished about Jameson? Now, this rarest vintage, right? Normal Jameson, aged in Wild Turkey barrels, bourbon. These were port matured. He had a set of old port barrels that he laid up these whiskeys on and let them sit for 20-something years. Now, they did bring in some mature, regular grain whiskey that had been aging in Wild Turkey barrels as well to combine all these things. But I couldn't get a solid number on actually how many bottles were made. I think it's about 3,000. I do have a note that only 1,000 bottles made it to North America. So this was probably a dozen casks, all told, that were involved in this production. And at the time, sold for $400. Now, regular Jameson, $20. A Jameson 18, which, by the way, amazing drink. Not that easy to find. If you can find it, at $160. So $400 for a bottle of Jameson is crazy. But admittedly, this was a very rare edition. It is not $400 anymore.
No.
Last auction I could find for it, $36.50.
Wow. Is this it? Because Kevin found this 2007 rarest vintage.
That's the one. Yeah.
So it is in stock at Whiskey Exchange.
Somebody says they have one for 1,200 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good price. When your last auction I could find was over $3,000.
You have to be in the UK to get it, but
probably. Well, for free standard delivery. But if you're going to spend, you could probably fly to the UK to get it.
It'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Would it be worth it?
It's beautiful. I mean, it's just I would argue, because I'm not a big fan of 20-plus-year-old whiskeys, for the most part. They're very expensive, and often they have very strong flavors in them. Yeah. But this is a blended whiskey. Like, the one thing you should do with really old whiskey is blend it.
Yeah.
Because you could take those edges off.
Right.
Right. The fact that these masters collaborated over this thing and tried to make it drinkable and approachable, it shows. It's a very special drink. It's very unusual. And a perfect addition in that particular party that we were at. Just 46%. Like, there's nothing extreme here. This is not a cask. Like, anytime you'd spend this kind of money, it'd be a one-off cask. And that's not what this is. It's literally a special edition made by a group of experts for folks who are wanting to have something really special. Yeah, connoisseurs. And it's almost 20 years old in the bottle at this point. Not that that ages it in any ways, but it's been a long time. You don't get to make this whenever you want, right? Like, you don't have the barrels. These barrels clearly were somewhat lost, and they found them and they thought, okay, well, let's do something with this. And we're able to pull off something astonishing. And I promised last week that I was going to stop talking about this party, but I had to do this one last.
So when somebody pulls this bottle out, is it like 8-year-olds at a soccer game? Like everybody clusters around trying to have a sip of it? I mean, how many people were at this party?
4. Yeah,
oh, okay.
But look,
that makes it a little easier. Enough for everybody.
I don't have 20 friends that would actually know what they were drinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you don't want to waste it on people.
And I never think that way. Like I have pulled some unusual whiskey out on Paul, and he gets upset when I do that on him too, right? Like,
yeah.
It's like, here, try this. There's only 3,000 bottles of this in the world. It's like, wait, what are you doing?
It's like, what are you doing to me, man? Like, what if I like this?
What if I like? See, I would be more afraid of what if I don't like it? What am I going to do if I don't like it? I can't admit it.
Yeah.
So that particular Niles party, he'd been sitting on those bottles for years from when I could get to his place.
Oh, right? Like it
was. He wanted me to try those things.
That's
his
great.
friend John had come over as well. Everybody brought something to the party.
That's somebody who really likes you, Richard.
Well, and we've bought unusual things together over the years. We've been in various whiskey bars over the years, digging, and you got to get to know the bartender well enough to convince him to pull out the rares, like that you're qualified. And I'm pretty good at that part. Like, if there's anything Niall likes about hanging with me, it's like it takes me less time to get the bartender to get under the counter and drag out the single casks than most people, just because I know what to say.
Paint a picture for us. So there's 4 people at this party.
Yeah.
What is it like? So somebody.
Is this like an eyes wide shut scenario? What are we talking about?
Yeah, you wear masks or you're wearing robes. Does somebody do people hide their bottle until it's their turn?
No, we all just walked up. But he gave up. He was upstairs in his loft and he just put them all down on the table.
Okay. And then how many different bottles were there?
Oh, there was a bunch. We couldn't even open most of them. Right?
Okay.
Like, it's just because also you respect the whiskey. Like 4 drinks in.
Yeah. This is not
4 drinks in.
I know. Stop going to the exactly.
I'm not drinking your $1,000 bottle of whiskey 4 drinks. And are you crazy? No. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
So and we'd already had a nice dinner as well. Like I would have liked to do that all night. I was tired, and I did have a show the next morning that I was keynoting, so I didn't want to get too wrecked. Right. And so he just wanted to taste them because they're beautiful, right? They're all pretty special.
It sounds like a very, very special event.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You get a few of those a year if you're lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the same thing. And folks who've been around when we've gone to the right bar, and I know the bartender, or gotten to know the bartender. We've gone into his collection. We can do that at a bar too once in a while. We'll spend a lot of money, but we'll also have an extraordinary drink.
Very exciting.
Yeah,
very cool.
I'm in Australia, so I promise. An Australian next week when we'll be up in the Gold Coast by next Wednesday.
Nice.
And so we'll try and do something
something special from Richard's closet.
That's it. Yeah, I haven't seen my closet in a couple of months, so no.
We do put all of those together into a whiskey playlist on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/twit, and then go to the Windows Weekly channel and you can watch Windows Whiskey with Richard Campbell.
Nice. Oh yeah, somethingweirdfrommycloset.com is working today for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, it wasn't behind Cloudflare, I guess.
Cloudflare came back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Somethingweirdfrommycloset.com is the short.
We'll take you to the YouTube playlist of what is now 107.
Wow. Good Lord.
Kev's been busy. He's been working. Like there's more added. Yeah, look, we're already we're at the Compass Box Velocore, which is just not that long ago. That's from the early fall. So
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been busy. Kevin's been busy collating all of these. And, you see there's a whole bunch of the first few are on the whiskey creation process. So you can learn about
if whiskey. You want to hear 2.5 hours of me talking about how Irish or Scottish whiskey is made, there you go. That's the first
And then
I could talk for
2.5 hours. This is fantastic. What a resource. This is incredible. Thank you, Kevin, for all the work you do putting this together. Something weird from mycloset.com, or just, go to youtube.com/twit and you'll find a link to Windows Weekly.
I got a nice note from a distillery, from the American distillery in Washington State, that they heard my clip on there. They heard the piece from off of YouTube talking about the whiskey, and they liked the way I described it.
Good.
Nice.
I have a feeling this is going to be your entree into whiskey nirvana.
Right.
Things are going to start arriving at your house.
Like spokesperson.
Unbidden. Really great. Thank you, Richard Campbell. RunAsRadio.com. Episode 1011 is up now, which ironically is binary 11. So is that right? It's 1, 2, 4.
Is.
Yeah, binary 11. And
Nerd.
Nerd. Also, you'll find at runasradio.com Carl Franklin and RichardDo.net rocks if you're a .net fan. I see that Darren Oki now has to work in .net. He's enjoying it, so that might be something for you to listen to, Darren, in our club. Paul Thurrott at Thurrott.com. That's, of course, the place he hangs his hat and files lots of stories. THURRO good.com. His books are at leanpub.com, including the Field Guide to Windows 11 and Windows Everywhere. We get together every Wednesday, right here, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. That would be 1900 UTC. You can watch us do it live if you wish. If you are a glutton for punishment, you can watch live. We stream it on YouTube, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. Or, of course, in the Club Twit's Discord. After the fact, on-demand versions of the show available at twit.tv/WW. There's audio there and video. The video also makes its way to YouTube, which is nice to have for sharing clips with fellow nerds, fellow winners and dozers. And then, of course, the best way to get it, subscribe in your favorite podcast client. That way you'll get it auto-magically every Wednesday. We're done a little early, which is great. In a half an hour, Jimmy Wales will join us for Intelligent Machines, creator of Wikipedia. His new book, The Seven Laws.
Anybody?
Not like he's anybody you know or anything.
That's amazing. That's great.
I'm excited about. I've interviewed him before. He's kind of a legend. We all owe him a great We all owe him a great debt of gratitude. His new book, 7 Rules of Trust, talks about what it took to make Wikipedia. And interestingly, it's not us reading Wikipedia to trust Wikipedia. The hardest thing to do was to get the volunteers to trust one another. It's about getting communities to trust one another. And that's when things really
the guy responsible for the real form of Encyclopedia Galactica, right?
Maybe he can help the Windows community.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's saying is we're in a crisis of trust.
Yeah. You think?
In this modern age, and maybe we can work on it. Yeah,
exactly. It's the exact wrong time for AI to be happening, and which explains why it's happening. You know?
Yeah. Talk about losing trust.
Worst, depending on who you are, the worst or best possible timing for this.
Wikipedia is 93 times bigger than Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
That's a lot. 11 billion page views a month.
Entries for random people, and it's almost too complete. But
it's awesome. Well, he has an anecdote in here about when his baby was born. Before he started Wikipedia, she had a medical crisis, and there was no easy way for her to find out more information so that he could he and his wife could make the decision about what treatment.
Right.
And he said, now you can go, if you had that problem, you go to Wikipedia and there's multiple articles on it, reliable articles on it. It really has changed the information landscape for the better. Yeah. So that's coming up. We will be back next Wednesday with Paul and Richard. I hope you will be back too, because, well, frankly, there'd be no point in us just sitting around talking. Unless there's some whiskey.
I mean, we do it anyway, but
yeah, that's true.
Next week is like Thanksgiving Eve, right?
The day before Thanksgiving. And you should all be thankful that Paul and Richard are going to truss up their bird and then join us on the show.
To be clear, I'll be on the beach in Coolangatta.
And to be clear, my wife actually does all that work, thank God. But
they don't do Thanksgiving in Australia. It would be silly.
They do in Canada, but they do it in October, like civilized people.
Right. You've already had your Thanksgiving.
That's it. Yeah.
That's why you can travel.
In the sense that Mexico is eager to absorb any tradition from any place, anytime, it's not like an official like state sanctioned
thing. People do it?
We know multiple people.
That's great.
Are doing Thanksgiving.
Well, we stole their Halloween, so I think it's fair that, I don't think
what we stole is nothing like what they do.
No,
We were the palest imitation.
That's a good point.
Like what they do. But there's oranges involved, and
Yeah.
But,
all right, Paul, Richard, have a wonderful day. Enjoy Sydney. Enjoy Roma Norte, and we'll see you right back here day before Thanksgiving next week on Windows Weekly. Take care. Actually, when you said, when your wife said you might have Tourette's, I wish I had said, you mean Thurrott syndrome, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
If I'd only said that, we would have a show title now, but I didn't.
It's a pretty close spelling.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Thurrott syndrome. How many times can I punch myself? We all want to teabag our neighbors. No, we don't. There's a lot of pent-up rage out there. I don't like it. I don't want it. You're just noise. We're better off without you. Oh, my alarm's going off.
That's nice.
Everything
good timing. Wait till the end of the recording.
Yeah, I better handle this.
Your classes are ready.
I'll find a title.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
I'll see you.